Well, hello world. Uh, Here today we have Sean Buranahiran,
Yeah,
who is the author of 51 Weapons of the Wise. How you doing, Sean?
good man. How are you?
Good, good. I appreciate you letting me into your studio to do this interview.
Yeah,
It shows that you're very kind, and I love your book, dude. I
thank you.
love your book. What inspired you to write it?
Um, the our mutual friend Kun Kao,
Cool.
he recommended me to write a book, and a lot of my followers. And I always thought you had to be old to write a book, but then those were just limiting beliefs that I had. So yeah, a lot of people around me, my girlfriend, everyone supported me to write the book.
Well,
Yeah.
do you mind telling my audience who you are as an individual?
Sure. I am. I was born in California. Grew up there for 20 plus years, and I came to Thailand about 4 years ago, and I started doing um, social media, just making videos online like a YouTuber, uh, telling stories, sharing things I read in self development books, and yeah, then they kind of took off. The videos kind of went viral. Yeah,
And what type of videos would you do?
videos. Videos. I would do videos telling kind of like Zen stories. Um, mainly, yeah, mainly just telling stories that at the end have a philosophical lesson in it. Yeah.
And there's some great videos out there that you have, especially the one about the Buddha and the beggar.
Yeah.
And that was one that I came across today, which was very interesting. And the lessons in your videos are so amazing and so rich in wisdom that I think a lot of people should really check out your book, 51 Weapons of the Wise, along with some of your YouTube content.
Yeah.
There was after reading this book, Sean, there were so many questions that I have for you and topics that I wanted to get into
Sure.
that I hope you don't mind, and maybe along the way we can find out more about yourself. Um, well, I think it's either the first or second chapter. Immediately, it caught my attention because, as you know, I am a mental health professional in the States,
Yeah.
and I'm all about self development for myself and for people out there that actually want to improve, along with spreading mental health awareness. And I think the first or second chapter was talking about automatic thought.
Right.
And you incorporated cognitive behavioral therapy, how
Yeah.
there's a situation and then there's a thought that takes an emotion, and then there's an action involved.
Yeah.
And the action is obviously going to cater towards someone's goals and pursue them. So let's start off with that one, which is the most basic part, which is you split your book up into four parts:
Yes.
self, it's followed by self, social,
Social.
situation, and
Success.
success,
Success.
and
Spiritual.
spiritual.
Yeah.
So, with the first portion with self and automatic thought, has there ever been in your life an event that you skip the thought process and you immediately go into an emotion? Because, and the reason I asked this question so early, Sean, is because there's so many people out there that struggle with that they have something that happened to them when they're young, and sometimes an event happens and there's an immediate emotional upbringing without the thought occurring. What do you have to say about that, if you don't mind?
Without the thought occurring. I think maybe it happened so fast that it seems like that person didn't think, but they just interpreted it like really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone cut me off while driving, I guess before my initial reaction would be to think he's an asshole. But I do think like, and then I would get angry, but I think, someone cuts me off and I get angry right away. I think that's because I've trained myself to think really fast that that's really impolite what he's doing. Um, I don't know if people skip it, but
Mm.
is that something that happens?
Well, you're right. By the way, people don't really skip it, but they think that they do,
Ah,
and there's a word for that. It's called trauma. Even though the thought is only there for a split second, they immediately get full of emotion,
yeah,
and it's a big thing in the U.S. But you're right, and I appreciate you saying that. And I wanted to ask you that question because you do always have a choice, and there is a thought. And so if someone, I think you talked about it in your book, that if someone's driving and they cut you off, you might have an instinct emotional reaction to say that person's impolite, rude,
yeah,
or excuse my language, an asshole.
yeah,
But it's really not. It's really what happened if that person's having a baby right now and
yeah,
the wife's in the car, or that person's late to get to work, and if he gets late one more time, he's going to be fired or she's
yeah.
going to be fired.
Exactly.
And I find that so interesting in your book how you talk about that.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time though in your life that you feel that an event an event happens and you have trouble thinking about it because of something that's happened in the past?
Something that happens in yeah. I was bullied when I was in when I was younger in California. Um, I went to a school that had predominantly African Americans and Mexicans, and then I would get bullied a lot. So, for the longest time growing up, anyone that would make a joke with me, I automatically interpret it as they were looking down on me, you know, or they wanted to bully me, and that was a problem for the longest time. It yeah, for many years, 10 plus years, I think I thought that way. Um, Luckily, my girlfriend's a psychologist, and then she told me, she helped me with this. She actually said these people aren't looking down on you. They just don't know how to communicate. They just don't know how to choose the words wisely. And then after that, I started realizing that people that, started telling me certain things or saying things to me, I just realized that, oh, they just don't have the skill to use language artistically. That's kind of why they're in the position they're in. And that's why they're not, like, if they could use language artistically and, how would you say, like, wisely, they would be in a higher position in the world.
And isn't it funny how now that you mentioned that about being bullied, that people are always so scared of what's different and what they don't know. You know, I don't know if you've ever read the book The Power of Now,
Mm-hmm.
but it talks about how empty space and how our minds sometimes are trained to look at differences. So I may see you and you're Asian and I'm Hispanic, and that's one of the immediate things that happened when that happens. And I wonder why, there's no more education in the schools about this topic. Almost like if there should be a social class where people get to learn social skills and get to understand that differences is okay.
Yeah.
We both breathe the same air. We both have two arms and two legs. We both walk on two legs. We both have a heart that's beating, but yet people will only look at what's outside and the differences. And I don't know the studies behind it, but society really needs to take a shift. The land of prosperity that I come from, the U.S. or so-called, right now there's like a huge split 50-50 over there where unfortunately, it's almost like if we're in the 1960s again. I feel like black versus white, but instead it's Democrat versus Republican when neither party really cares. So to continue with your book, Sean, I appreciate you commenting about the automatic thought process, but you have a tip. You do have a tip in the book on how to stop negative thinking. Do you mind touching on that?
Was it the one wearing the rubber band?
Yeah, it is.
I was your brain will start to, well, every time you interpret something like negatively, and you you wear a rubber band, and you kind of just, I don't know what that word in English is.
You snap it.
You snap it, yeah, and it hurts your wrist. So then your mind will, how do you say, connect the pain with the thinking negatively.
Yeah.
And I know someone that did that, and it changed their life. So,
No, and I was surprised when I read that in your book, because you don't really have a psychological background, but without you realizing, you wrote about a behavioral approach, and that's part of psychology. It's actually called negative reinforcement. You're adding pain to that negative thought. Did you do that on purpose?
To connect it psychologically?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a psychological thing, no. But I, now that I think about it, it makes sense. Yeah.
What one of the things you also touched about in your book is how, and your videos too, which are so rich in wisdom and knowledge, is you talk about how kindness is a strength, and how some of the events in your life you attribute it to others. About 90% you wrote in your book that it's not about you, and you don't put yourself on a pedestal that it's you're the reason for the success. You acknowledge that there were other people that were part of it.
Yeah.
And that's such a unique way of looking at it. It's so Easternized. And what do you think about the Western approach, though, that takes about taking personal responsibility, which is important, and you talk about that in your book, but it's all about them. I did this because of who I am. Well, do you have any comments about that?
Saying that I did this, I could see where they're coming from, yeah. But when I hear people like Conor McGregor, you know him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he says that he doesn't believe in the word self-made. He believes that everyone has a team, people behind them that brought them to where they are today. Arnold Schwarzenegger says that too. Or I think he says that. A lot of people I've seen, they in the Western world, that are actually really successful.
Yeah.
They thank the people that helped them. But I guess there are things that, people could say that they did it on their own. I guess like maybe trading stocks. I mean, you wouldn't really need anyone except a teacher. But in the book, I talked about the 90%, right? 90% of luck comes from other people. That's what I said. So what I mean by that is, if you look back in your life, most of the opportunities or the best advice, life-changing advice, or the connections you got, it came from other people. Like we met because Kun Kao, right?
Yeah.
So that was lucky because went through him. But also you met Kun Kao because you built up your page. But then you built up your page because your partner encouraged you to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like to create a page. So I always contribute 90% of luck or opportunities or advice. Everything, it comes from people. So in the book, I say, if you want to increase your luck, you just have to meet more people.
And that's so interesting. I never really talk about myself personally, because Psych Life is an organization, and I always think that it's bigger than Psych Life. But as a founder of Psych Life, I will share that, I also attribute my success to the people around me.
Yeah.
When I first started Psych Life on Facebook, and then I met my girlfriend, she encouraged me to move to Instagram. And then my best friend, he encouraged me to move to YouTube. And aside from that, sometimes things don't go perfect, but I have people to lean on, like family members, and I have people counting on me that they're not really asking for anything materialistic, but they're counting on me to be myself and be there for them. And sometimes that's such a huge motivational and rewarding factor that people don't take into account. And now I want to bring the opportunity, you touch upon in your book, but I forgot where, but how much of that, what do people have to do you think, to really get in touch with that side of themselves, the side that pretty much letting go of the ego and realizing that they are part of something bigger, and almost like love that moves people.
Hmm.
I've always pondered that.
To get in touch with
That divine.
ah I think there's many ways. I think what changed me was meditating. Yeah, that lowered my ego. Maybe some people would need to smoke weed. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I think to get in touch with the divine, many ways. You could pray. You could go to any type of religious place around you. But for me, I did it through meditation, and then meditation is just, there's many ways. There's actually 40 ways to meditate. The way I do it is I focus on the breath. Like I tell myself to breathe in, then I breathe in. I say breathe out, then I breathe out, and you kind of do that. You silence all the noise outside. I like to do it in the mountains. Like we went to the mountains near a waterfall, only for 10 minutes though, because Kun Kao had to leave. But usually I'll be there for at least an hour. Yeah, we go. When you're up there with no cell phone reception or no electricity or anything to disturb you, and it's not that noisy, you get time to be quiet. And once you're quiet, you kind of just, some people could say you start to hear like your subconscious mind. Yeah. Or the part of the brain where I don't even know if it's true. They say we only use like 20% of the brain or something? Is that true?
That is not true.
Right.
I think by saying we use 20% of the brain, that's not true, because our brain works in all facets. So if you're really emotional at that moment, your limbic system takes into effect. If you're really trying to take a test and really reason, your frontal lobe is taking effect. I think when people say we only use about 20% of our brain, I don't know where that came about.
I heard that was debunked.
Yeah, it was debunked, because our brain's always using all facets. Even right now, I'm using many parts of my brain by looking at you, by hearing you, different parts. I think what that came is that our brain's much more powerful than what people realize. And oftentimes I'm walking down the street and I'm finding people just scrolling through their feed or whatever they're doing, and they're basically brain dead when that's going on. They're brain dead because they have a lack of awareness of what's going on around. So the whole 20% thing, that's not true. It just, I think whoever said that, what they meant was we're not using our full brain capabilities. You touched on something so interesting though, Sean, and you said we could get into the divine, and you recommend meditating, and it was an honor meditating with you today. I guess when you asked me why I'm so happy, it was because of that. Taking me to your sacred spot where you meditate was a real honor, and I understand the gift that was. But religion, and you talked about prayer in your book, how sometimes you never ask for materialistic things. You always ask to be on the right path and to guide you and to let you know, or you ask God or the universe, or I don't know what exactly, but please let me know if I'm not on the right path, guide me, or if I'm not doing something right, please help me, send me a message. And that often works for you, huh?
I never pray to ask for anything. No, I just, when I pray, that's exactly what I say. Just, please guide me in the right direction. What I do today is me just following the signs. When I was younger, I just was stressed and just didn't know what to do. So I just prayed, and I just said to the stars, and I just said, just please guide me in the right direction. Like, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. I'll say whatever you guys want me to say.
And then how do you read the signs? Because I agree with you 100%. I also, I'm not religious, but I was raised on a Christian base.
Uh-huh.
So I'll go to church and I'll pray, and maybe sometimes I'll even pray in my room, but without all the religious rules attached to
Yeah.
it.
Same.
I'm praying to the forces, like the forces, if you want to call it like Star Wars. I just don't want people to think
Yeah.
I'm using pseudoscience, but the forces around me, forces I don't understand, and I acknowledge I don't understand them.
Yeah.
And I do read the signs, and that's how I found you. I read the signs. One person told me something, I acted on it,
Yeah.
and one thing led to another, and things on this trip. I traveled all the way from the other side of the world, 12-hour difference, to come, and now I'm in front of you talking on a mic. So, with that being said, what advice do you have, or what do you have, or what do you want to say about people when they say, "Oh, how do I read the signs? What do I read?"
Yeah. For me, whenever it's like a recommendation that happens often, the reason I wrote that book was because so many people kept telling me, why don't you write a book? The reason why I started making videos online is because people around me started saying, hey, why don't you share what you tell us online?
Yeah.
I did that. The reason I started making videos in English was because people around me started saying it. I should try it. And then through that, I ended up meeting the Dalai Lama. The Prince of Dubai
And
shared my videos.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I have to ask, how was it meeting the Dalai Lama? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
It was interesting. I like how he gets people from all over the world to go to one place. Like when I was at his palace, I just kept hearing people from saying like, oh, I'm from Nigeria, or I'm from Venezuela, or I'm from like Poland, I'm from Israel. It was nice. And then when he comes, well, I got to go into his palace, and I got to sit in this room with him, and he comes by and everyone wants to get touched by him, and then we'll have this scarf that he touches, and then you put it on. I think I gave that one to Kun Kao. Yeah, the one that the Dalai Lama touched, gave to him. And he's pretty wise the way that he speaks, because there's two different types of I guess Buddhism, his and then the Thai way. And the way he spoke to the other Buddhists, he said that there's stuff we have to learn from you, and then he's like, there's also stuff you have to learn from us. So I really like the way that he was what's that word?
Wise,
but also what's that skill that ambassadors need to have?
The diplomat.
Yeah,
like diplomacy.
diplomatic. yeah, he was very diplomatic. Yeah, and I asked him questions, and he actually talked about mental health. He told
he
me,
did?
I asked him. I said, so Thailand has about 65 million people, but most of them are poor. And then I said, what can I do to help my people? And he said, the poverty, the money thing isn't really an issue. He said that in America a lot of people have good jobs and have money, but he said the mental health there is that a lot of people are on pills. And he said that if I were to help the country, I should help the country learn life skills, how to cope with stress, anything that had to do with understanding life, yourself, living life easier. He said if I help teach that to the people, when they have money or when they don't have money, they'll be able to cope. They'll be happy.
And you talked about that also in the 51 Weapons of the Wise, which is, some people have no money and they're super happy. And then other people, like in the US, they have money, they have a place to sleep, they have a house, they have food in abundance, yet they're so unhappy. I'm just gonna say, you touched upon the helping your people. I want to let you know, Sean, that I'm trying my best to help the people of Thailand. The people of Thailand are so nice, and I see that they're in need. And I took steps into trying to help them. I'm in contact at the moment with the Ministry of Health here. I was able to talk to the spokesperson, which I'm so bad at pronouncing names, I'm not even going to try, but he is a very nice fellow, and the country seems to be in good hands as long as people like that are around. But hopefully I can have my hand in this too, because the Thai people really need mental health services. You know, I told you the story where I went to the cabin, and that's here in Chiang Mai, right here, where I was expecting a treatment center where there was a bunch of Thai people, and I wanted to go and see if I can help there, teach a trauma-informed approach, which is what we talked about earlier, when that thought process is skipped because of an event that happened earlier on. And I was surprised. Less than, you know, he didn't say how many percent were Thai, but only 20% of the population in that treatment center was Asian. And yet they have all these resources, these a lovely treatment place, but it's all about money.
Yeah.
So it's okay to make money, and because you need to live, and if you work hard, you want the nice things, but that doesn't bring happiness. And I have my hand in. I'm gonna do more for the Thai people. I'm gonna have my hand in this.
Cool.
So I just wanted to share that with you, man,
Thanks,
because
man.
I know you care about that.
Yeah. So it's interesting that the Dalai Lama wants that. He wanted mental health, people to help with mental health, just from the root, you know, teaching people how to, you know, cope instead of going to alcohol or drugs, or, you know, suppressing their problems. Another thing he touched on was that there needs to be more science in, need to combine science with religion. There needs to be some science behind it. And I wanted to ask you, like, you're a psychologist, you study, Kun Kao is a brain psychologist, but I like to ask him about this, so I'll ask you too. So you believe in like a higher power or energies, or, you know, things that you can't explain. What part, what do you think that is? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to be careful in the way I say this, because I
Yeah.
do have a very scientific audience.
Exactly.
I have actually a versatile audience. What's
Yeah.
up? But when you're asking me what exactly I believe in the universe. So we're all, you know, we live in this little spot on Earth, this little planet called Earth, and we're part of a solar system, which is part of many solar systems, which means a galaxy. And we're part of, and then a galaxy is part of, there's more galaxies than grains of sands here on Earth. People may not understand, I mean, how big the universe is. So I believe that there's things I don't know. And at the root of everything, you have an atom, which then molecules, which then forms, you keep going, and it becomes an organ, and then it becomes a system, and then it becomes a human being, and that happens for every animal. So I acknowledge there's things I don't understand, and that's what I believe in that
see.
thing we don't understand. Most of life is empty space. People may not understand that, and that's where our conversation started from the beginning, where we only notice what's there. But what about the empty space? There was empty space before there were things. So the energies is in the empty space. If I touch this table, my marks are on this table forever, even though I cannot see it. You touched upon in your book too, Sean, where what was once impossible, or was once not understood, is now understood.
Yeah.
And so I acknowledge that as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure what exactly I believe in. I guess I just believe in something higher than myself.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody out there believes in something higher than themselves, because the universe doesn't revolve, or the solar system or the planets doesn't revolve around one person. It revolves around something way bigger that we don't understand at the moment, and every day it's something new that's found.
Yeah.
So you know, I appreciate that question, because people need to really raise their conscious level. And I'm not always thinking on this brainwave, sometimes things happen and I become stagnant, or I become inside the box, as I like to call it. That's my favorite phrase. So do you ever feel like that, Sean? Because everybody looks at you, and they might look at your YouTube videos, they might look at your book, and they might look at what you have and what you've accomplished, and they think that you never have a dull moment or a bad day or a bad moment. Do you want to share to people that maybe you may be human or you're an alien?
I had a bad day today. Yeah, I dropped when I was climbing down the rocks today, I dropped my phone, and then it's cracked. And I was sad, sad because it was the first phone I ever bought for myself. Like, for many years, I just used the same phone, no matter how slow it was. But then it came to a point that it broke, and I fixed it, and it broke again. So I thought, it's so old, I have to buy a new one. So then I bought a phone for a few months, and then I dropped it today, and then I was really sad. So I just went home and I just played with my dog and just took a nap, and now I'm back here. Yeah, I was sad about that. It's more sentimental. I don't really care about the phone. I just like, oh man, I wish I took better care of you. Like, kind of, I guess, when you start to meditate a lot, you start to kind of just love things, even if it's an inanimate object, because it's glass, it's part of the world. So I just thought, I wish I took better care of you. So I was sad about that. So you asked me, like, if I have bad days, right? Yeah, definitely have bad days.
That was one of the Dalai Lama rules, though. No attachment.
Yeah, and it was funny because I had to meditate right when my phone broke. So then I told myself, oh, this is a good test to see if I could actually focus on it and not focus on my phone. And it worked. I totally was okay with my phone being broken. But then when we came out, I started being sad again. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you letting people know you're human. And there might be bad moments, bad days, bad weeks, bad months, maybe a bad year. And I don't even want to use the word bad. Let's use a rough or struggling year. But people can bounce back. And I think that's important for people to know, that there's more to life than that one dull movement or bad day. Talking about that meditation spot, unfortunately, I disliked how people had, sometimes they'll go and they'll visit tourists, they'll go and they'll visit a site, they'll admire the beauty and then leave it off worse than what it is. You saw that today?
Like, they'll leave some trash.
They'll leave some trash around, and just because they don't understand that, or they can't talk to the tree, they think that it's not alive, and I don't know if you know this, Sean, but they done research where you have two groups, where one group, the plant is watered every day, and the person talks to it with a soft voice and tells it nice things and kinds, and then they have another group where the plants are just watered. And the group where the person talks to the plants and does it, and talks to it nice, tends to grow quicker, stronger, nicer, more. So the trees, they communicate to each other. And that experiment, though, showed that when humans can communicate with the tree, we just might not be able to hear their voice, but they're alive. And people, they get so blinded by, I'm a tourist and I'm here with my camera, let me take a few selfies here and there. And then they throw the trash around and they're destroying what they're admiring. What's up with that negative pattern?
Man. I don't know, but I like that experiment. That I heard one with water and rice, like the rice will rot, but the other rice, when you actually write the words on a jar with rice in it. Have you heard of that one?
No, I've never heard of that experiment.
It's the same thing. It's rice and water, but then mainly, you say good things to it, and the one that you curse at, or it actually rots quicker. Yeah. So I like that experiment, and sounds crazy, but if you meditate next you to communicate with the tree, if you meditate long enough, you can communicate with the tree. You can hear them, and you actually learn things from them. And I think Native Americans and hippies, they they kind of know this, but I mean, sounds crazy, but I don't care. I think it's just something that we can't explain. I don't know what happens when you get into a deep meditation state. I don't know what happens to your brain, what frequency your brain is at, or what you're activating. But I've always tried to explain it scientifically with Kun Kao. That's why we get along so much, because we always try to figure out what's going on with these supernatural things. But what I feel is going on is when you meditate, you close your eyes, right? So you're losing senses slowly. You lose the sense of sight. Later on, you keep going, and eventually you don't hear anything. And then eventually you don't even feel where you're at, because you're just you're still. So what I'm thinking is going on scientifically for your audience is that your senses are lessening. You're using less of your senses, kind of like how a blind person kind of can hear better, right? When you lose senses, other senses get heightened. So what I think is going on is you're just shutting down a lot of your senses, and then you're activating or actually using another sense. Another sense gets heightened. It could be like, I don't know, the sixth sense, or the intuition, or whatever you want to call it, your gut feeling. So that's what I think happens, and then just a lot of crazy shit happens after that.
They've shown brain scans where when someone hasn't meditated, right? So there's a before and after, and once they meditate, if they do it properly, you're right, we depend so much on our eyesight. You shut that off. Now other senses become heightened. And once you meditate for a while and you really zone yourself in, all your senses, like you said, you lose focus of where you're at. That's how you know that you're really in a deep state. And your brain all of a sudden becomes calm, which allows your pineal gland to open. And the pineal gland, just so you know, Sean, if I were to take some mushrooms or some peyote, is what opens up and puts you in that spiritual dimension. Now, once again, I have a very psychological audience, so some of this stuff, only a certain few will maybe understand what I'm saying. But once that pineal gland opens up, that is your deepest unconscious, your fears, your what you want, your real desire. And I'm not talking about wanting the PS4 or something. I'm talking about what you want in life for real, and how you're gonna live your life. And you were talking about intuition. You touch upon that in your book, and that was actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Sean, because in science or in psychology, there's no such thing as intuition. And I'm telling you, I found it to be different. But by its definition, to me, intuition was always reading the patterns. What's your definition of intuition, if you don't mind?
Okay. My definition of intuition. I guess I don't really have a clear definition. That's a good question. I have like a scientific one and a spiritual one. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, so cool. My intuitive one is kind of like yours. You kind of pick up on patterns, maybe the way someone's dressing, their body language, or the way that they're looking at you, or maybe you even pick up on like their smell, or even like not like they smell bad, or like their skin, or you could kind of see like if this person has a good energy, a good vibe through all of these certain cues, you know. The way they look and the eyes tell a lot. So I think you're just picking up, if you're intuitively, scientifically, you pick up on things. Sometimes you just meet someone and you know this person, this I gotta stay away from this person. Like I feel that a lot since people come, since I became a public figure, and people come always wanting something, but wanting something, you know, in a good way, in a beneficial way for both, or in a way that kind of just feeds their ego, and they want to use it to like get more women, you know. You can kind of sense, I can get this kind of intuitive feeling that this person doesn't have good intent, the purest intentions with me. I don't know what that is, but if I were to scientifically explain it, I guess you could, I'm picking up on things that the subconscious mind picks up, but I'm not consciously picking up. And the way the subconscious mind is communicating with me is through a feeling, like, hey, stay away from this guy. Yeah. That's how I would define it scientifically.
And I just want to, so you're picking up the patterns, but you can't pinpoint what pattern it is, what it is, but inside you know that there's something off, and either this pattern has happened in the past, whether this person has the qualities and the way their mannerism is, the way they're approaching you, something's off. They want something. This isn't genuine or authentic. And you're picking that up, and that's so cool and so awesome for the audience. Sean, thank you for that, because we all have that little that instinctual feeling where we know something's off. And what about when we get blinded? So we pick up the pattern, and we know something's off, which it sounds like it happened to you recently, and something's off, and then all of a sudden everybody else is doing something, is doing the opposite of what that pattern inside is. So and I feel like that's a big thing in America with the social media and the unhappiness that's happening over there, and people getting blinded by what's not important. How do you think we can help those that are struggling with that, not only in America but around the world, globally, where where they're picking up the pattern? They know that something's off. They know that that intuition or that pattern that they're picking up, it's like, and they don't know what it is, but they go with the mainstream and with what everybody else is doing, that need to belong. How do you think we can help people like that read their patterns and trust it, instead of just reading, trusting, feeling that pattern, but going against it?
Going against. You want to help people like go listen to their gut, the gut feeling they're getting, that this isn't right. For me, what happened to me was every time I didn't listen, something bad would happen. Every single time. So I guess I got hurt, and then I realized that, okay, I should listen to it. I was wondering, because psychologically, our conscious mind, like from what I remember, is that it can only pick up a certain amount of information at one time. Otherwise, it would just be too much, right? Like we can't know exact, like David is like on the phone, like if like, or like that's red, or there's like how many mosquitoes flying around right now. But then the rest of it gets picked up by the subconscious mind, right? Is there a certain number, a percentage?
Yeah, and I actually wrote that on the Instagram recently, where there was a study done that only about 5 to 10% of what we do is conscious. So we think that for example, we think that we're playing, let's say, basketball because we want to win, or because we want to get better, but really that's only 5 to 10%. We're conscious that we want to win in basketball. We're conscious that we want to get better, but unconsciously we're really playing because we enjoy it, because it's It's a sense of coping, like you said. It's a way to cope with what's happening. It's a way to get away. It's a way for to meditate, because oftentimes people think meditating is just sitting down and not saying a word like we were doing, which works. So that's the way I meditate. But
Hmm.
also when you touch that basketball and you're just flicking the wrist and your only focus is to hit that hoop and to do the perfect form.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize, but they're not doing it. They're not playing to get better and beat somebody else. They're just what's in their awareness. They're really doing it because it's a joy and it's a way for them to escape, and that's another way for them to open up that pineal gland.
Mm.
So most of the reasons, that's why I always talk about bringing the unconscious to our
Yeah.
awareness, and that's how we're gonna grow
Yeah, I
as
agree.
individuals, and that never stops. That never stops.
Yeah.
And that's so important for people to know that you're never going to stop bringing that unconscious to your conscious, and the more you do it, the
Yeah.
the more you're going to grow, and the more you're going to follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Sean, I get people all the time messaging me on Instagram. I'm sure you do. Oh, what should I study? What profession should I be? What should I do about my mom? What should I do about my girlfriend that just dumped me? And I always respond so basic. I always respond, how do you want to live your life? And I think there's only one life. There's one life, and people try and separate it. Oh, it's girlfriend time, friend time, study time. There's only one life. Everything is together,
Mm.
and that question needs to be answered before people start asking questions. What job should I have? What car should I get? Where should I move?
Yeah.
And it seems like people miss that, and they're teaching in school in America. They're not teaching anything like that. It's kind of disappointing, honestly, for a
Yeah.
first world country.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said about, playing basketball, bringing the unconscious to the conscious, helping the children or helping the school system in America. If I were to talk more about, you said, when you flick the wrist, right? You're
Yeah.
focusing on that. That's one form of meditation, and there's so many other ways that, Kun Kao doesn't like to sit and breathe. But I did ask him before. I said, I told him that there's other ways to do it. Some people have to stare at water. Some people have to stare at a tree, and some people stare at fire. And he's like, "Hey, I stared at fire before for 2 hours." I was like, "Yeah, that's one of the ways. There's supposed to be 40 ways to do it." And I asked him, "What did you learn from the fire? Like looking at the fire?" And anyone who's interested in getting more connected to your soul, your subconscious, or your intuition, or the unconscious mind, that's one way to do it too, is to just stare at fire for a while, and then you'll get some realizations if you're not the type that likes to just sit and breathe. And there's also a walking meditation. For people that are really, I think you use the word vain, or like really superficial, or really attached to looks or their beauty, or
External forces.
anything with the body. The actual way that it's written in the 40 ways is to go look at a corpse. To go look at a dead body and you stare at it. And then you come to realizations when you stare at a dead body. So that's another way to reach, I guess in the Buddhist way they would say, enlightenment. Yeah, if you're that type of person, looking at a dead body would help. A corpse, or going to where's the places where they keep a lot?
Funeral, the cemetery.
Cemetery, but the place where it's cold, they keep the bodies.
I want to say the morgue, but I'm not sure if
I think that's it. I think
yeah.
that's it. I think the morgue. So that's one way to do it. That's some people just have to stare at colors. So yeah, they don't teach this in Western schools at all.
No.
But I have some schools in here that they actually make the kids meditate in Thailand. They all know how to do it. Yeah.
And I didn't know that the schools here in Thailand teach the kids how to meditate.
Yeah.
They're basically teaching them how to clear their mind, so they can critically think. You know, it's hard to critically think when your mind's filled up with what, Kim Kardashian's doing or whatever, or scrolling through a news feed. It's hard to think, because you talked about in your book, Sean, on how sometimes, and your book was very, really opened up a fire in me. There was a lot of topics in there that I hadn't discussed with anybody in a while, and I'm going to take this opportunity to discuss them, on how sometimes you see people on social media, they're posting they're having the best time in the world, they're the life of they act like they post a photo like if they're the life of the party. They do this every night, and every night it's a big big thing. But then you go out with them, I don't know what the circumstances or the context were for you, Sean, but you go out with them and they're actually having a miserable time.
Yeah.
They actually just got all dressed up to take that 1 or 2 selfie and show it to the world.
Yeah.
That must have been horrific for you, man.
That was... I became enlightened.
I take it back.
It was funny because this guy always... I know this older guy. Old guy. He always posts pictures of going different countries and stuff. So I went with him, and always just arguing with his friends and his girlfriend. And then, but they always smile for the picture. And then, but they're not really. Yeah. Then I realized that, he's just. Oh, and then he'll take pictures like meditating, but he only sat there for like a second.
You witnessed this?
Yeah, I witnessed it. He made it seem like, he was. Yeah, but man, like, it's, but then you realize later that he just wants acceptance. You know, he wants people to see the picture and wants people to like him, you know? And I remember earlier when we had lunch, you were talking about Kun Kao, how he used to play games, addicted to games, but his addiction changed to writing. And then you went on to say that, and then you kept writing because you got a good result from it. You know, you made money, you got recognition, and then in my head I heard acceptance, but you didn't say that. But then if you look at it, it seems like everyone wants acceptance.
We all a lot of people say we're creatures of logic. That first started all a long time ago. I forgot who exactly said it. It was a famous philosopher. Then they said we're creatures of habits, but really what we are is, Sean, social creatures. Our brain is the most complex organ that was known to humankind right now. And the reason it developed to be like this is for our need to be social. If we wouldn't have, for example, our ancestors gotten together, hunters and gatherers, to work together, then they would have never survived the cold winters. They would have never been able to survive if a lion came into the cave. They had to talk and communicate, and as that went on, the brain evolved. And it was because of our ability to be social, and now we have a need to be social. And with that, my friend, comes what you talked about in the book, the need to be accepted by others. And those are the type of topics that should be heavily discussed in the schools, whether it's in Thai or in the US, because people aren't aware of that need that they have. And they'll follow the crowd, they'll follow the peer pressures, all for that need to be accepted, when really, if you follow the crowd, you're not going to do anything new. You're not going to build anything new. And I'm human. So, anybody out there on my platform or your platform, if they're going to be seeing this, I fall into that trap too. I'm not immune to it. I recognize when I do. But sometimes it's so strong, that peer pressure, because of that need to be social, that need to be accepted, that at that moment you don't realize till maybe the next day, and you're like, damn, why the hell did I stick around there for? Well, that word acceptance, as you touched upon in your book, I think you even said, and it's something I write about in my Instagram blog a lot, how we it's not until we accept who we are that we can become who we need to be, and that we can make adjustments. How did you learn that? How did you come upon, what event happened that led to you realizing that?
Realizing who I was.
Yeah. I forgot what page it was, Sean. Either who you are. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
who you are. Let's start off by that.
Um, there, there's I think there's many times I realized more, but one was when I just realized and accepted I'm a shy person. I don't talk much. That was interesting because I thought to get girls you had to be outgoing. But then the moment I accepted, like, I'm just a shy guy, you know, I don't like to talk much. I don't like to be loud. But then as soon as I accepted that I'm like that, you just, I don't know, just you get more comfortable. And then there's people that like shy people, you know, there's people that like quiet people. You start to realize that. That was my first accepting who I was when I was younger. Um, Growing up, I liked philosophy, but no one else did where I grew up. So I always thought it was weird, and I always thought that no one else would like it. But then as soon as I posted videos online about it, oh, so many people like it. So many people like these stories and stories that I like. Um, then I think I felt accepted. I felt that, oh, there's actually people that accept me for being a little bit deeper, because before growing up I would say one of the deep kids that, but then when you're deep you're kind of outcasted, like you can't really, no one really understands you, kind of weird. Yeah. So then, but then when I grew up it became like a strength.
You felt like so growing up in California, you felt like you had to be an extroverted and you had trouble accepting who you
Yeah,
were.
I had to be extroverted. I thought I had to be I thought I had to be a little stupider, like, you know, not stupider, but dumb everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but I understand. You know, I was a kid looking for acceptance. Started watching stupid reality shows just to talk to kids at my school. Yeah. But yeah, and then grew up, and then I started. I don't know how it changed, but maybe a key person, I guess, would be my girlfriend. She accepted me for who I was and praised it, and then wanted the whole world to know. So she encouraged me to make videos online. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. I guess true happiness is being accepted for who you really are. I could imagine if everyone liked me for and I was pretending to be something else, that would be so sad. I guess you think actors feel that way, like people like them, well, I guess some, but because they act a certain role, but then people don't really like them, they like the role they're playing.
Yeah.
But then if I were to positively think about that and I was a good actor, I would just think they admire my acting skill. But yeah, but
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know any actors, but I can only imagine how difficult that would be. And this topic, I had an amazing person who got me the book Quiet, which talks about extrovert and introvert. And in the U.S., it's okay if you felt like that, Sean, because they admire extroverts, those with self-confidence, those that are outspoken, those
Yeah.
that will stand up and they'll say what they need to say, and
Yeah.
and they don't admire so much the introverted. How was that adjustment for you, going from California to over here the east, all the way on the other side of the world, where introverts are more valued, and that type of culture where you're quieter and you're not going to cause a scene, it's actually embarrassing if you're loud. So you must have fit in here
Yeah.
very well, huh?
True. Yeah. I fit in here very well. Yeah, because I guess my the way I am, it fits into the Eastern world. Yeah. But in over there they like the Conor McGregors and the Kanye Wests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else is loud?
Oh my gosh, all the
Donald
rappers.
Trump.
Donald Trump. Look at that. Donald Trump got elected. And
Yeah.
I guess it's
All the rappers.
yeah, and one thing I will say about, and I have to say this about Donald Trump is, I guess the one good thing for sure is that anybody can be president now after he got elected. That's the one good thing I can say, that those out there that, you know, right now, if you're down in the dusk and you don't have a place, and or if you're just a, you know, a teacher out there, I mean, Donald Trump proved that you can be president. And but I don't know, at the same time, we're in a society now, Sean, where I feel like if you're controversial, you're gonna get popular. And I don't know if I'm willing to do that and start saying outlandish things to.
It's not
to
your
get-
path. It's certain people have that path. Yeah. Definitely, because they don't have the ability to gain an audience through their intellect or their wisdom. But you don't need to do that. I thought about it for fun, just because I like strategic games. So then, and I think, you know, I always thought like I could do a publicity stunt, but then it's like, but be controversial, but I feel like I could get attention a different way. Like I have the ability to, but not everyone has the ability to do that through telling stories, or you sharing your knowledge about psychology, or asking good questions to get a good interview. But I think just some people just only have the ability to do that, to get attention, which is, you know, they want acceptance.
The acceptance part. And that's what's taught in that extroverted culture out there out west. But it's nice to have been here and get a little bit of a change, to be honest.
You telling me moving from California to here, it's interesting because, well, I can tell us. Yeah, it reminds me of a story that I could share, so your audience kind of knows what kind of stories I tell. Have you ever heard? I don't know. I hope you didn't watch it yet. There was the one where I'm wearing like a big furry hat and like a big coat, like from Lord of the Rings.
Everything happens for a reason. I was trying to watch that video. I kept it. There was some sort of internet connection issue, but yet when I played another video, it worked. So I can't believe that you're mentioning this.
Yeah. So that one, I was in Ladakh. It was like -degree weather, so I'm wearing like, I look like a big bear, like a lot of fur. And it was a small island that I was sitting at with a bunch of rocks, and then I just thought, oh, this is the perfect place to tell the story about that rock. Yeah, so I just started telling a story about a rock. So let me see if I can remember the story. This one got about 40 million views. Yeah, okay, I think I got it. So one day there was a young boy that asked his father, what is the value of his life? You haven't heard this, right?
No, I'm not.
So instead of answering, his father gives the boy a rock and says, son, I want you to go sell this at a market. And if anyone asks you the price, just put up 2 fingers. Yeah. So the boy goes to the market. A lady walks by and sees a rock and says, oh, it's a nice rock. I'd like to put it in my garden. And how much is it? And the boy puts up 2 fingers and she says, oh, $2? Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. So then the boy goes home and tells his dad. And the dad says, okay, son, now I want you to go to a museum and put this rock on the ground. And if anyone wants to buy it, just put up 2 fingers. So at the museum, a man walks by and then he thinks it's some sort of like old rock, you know, and asks, how much is it? And the boy puts up 2 fingers and he goes, the man goes, oh, $20. Oh, nice. So the boy goes home and tells his dad again, and his dad says, the last place I want you to take this rock is to a precious stone store. So the boy takes it to a precious stone store, shows it to the owner, and the owner says, wow, where'd you find this rock? Like, how much would you sell it for? He's like, it's a rare rock. Puts up 2 fingers, and then you know, the owner says like, oh, I don't know, 200 or 2,000, however much you want to say. And the boy is shocked, like, wow, this is just a rock in my house. You know, he shows his dad, and his dad says, son, do you know the value of your life now? So he says it doesn't matter, you know, where you're born, how much money you were born into, the color of your skin, but it matters where you choose to place yourself. You have to place yourself around people that see your value. You could be somebody that the people around you only see you as a $2 rock. Then you have to move to a place where people see you as a, I guess that rock had like a diamond in it. I don't know, but I believe that everyone has a diamond inside of them. And I want people to choose to surround themselves with people that see the diamond inside of them. Yeah, I think some people spent their whole life thinking that, you know, they're a $2 rock. But really, you know, you're not. You have value. Just go around people that can see it.
And maybe what about people that can't distinguish not necessarily their worth after that story? I'm sure everybody feels like they're that diamond in that rock, and they should. About who are the right people around them.
Who are the right people around you?
Seems like you've mastered that.
Yeah. If they're helping you improve, that's one of my main signs. If they help you improve, if they help you get closer to where you want to be, the person you want to become, that's a very good sign. Yeah. They're not distracting you from it too. I mean, some friends always would invite you to, let's like go out, party, but I do that sometimes. Like only when there's something to celebrate, I'll do that. But I think that's my main sign. Who's helping me develop to the place I want to go, the person I want to be, and also kind of telling me the truth. Telling me the truth, like when I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. I have my friend Pi that you met that sells pants. Whenever when my motorcycle, I was gonna buy a regular helmet, you know, to save some money, and then he's like, hey Sean, you should buy a better helmet. You know, if you get an accident, there's a lot of people counting on you, and you know, you're inspiration for people. So he's like, you should buy this one. I really like him, you know. So then I bought the better helmet, even though it was more expensive. When I like to play board games, so before we play board games, he'll even tell me, hey Sean, should we read like a book for 30 minutes before we play all night? So I mean, those
cool,
are good
man.
signs to me. Yeah,
that's so cool, man. And I actually regret not bringing my chessboard. It sounds like you would have been pretty good competition.
We have Go, you know Go?
Yeah.
Where the AI finally beat the best Go player in the world. Crazy.
I think I know what that game is, but I'm not sure. But I wanted to thank you really genuinely thank you for saying that, because not only for myself as the founder of Psych Life, but for the audience, whoever watches this video, having friends that aren't scared to tell you the truth, or people just to tell you the truth, because from my experience, Sean, I have a big family, and not many people get to have that, and family that actually care, you know, when times are tough, when you're down, when you think you're out for the count, and the count's getting, you know, 5, 6, and it's, you know, they're not scared to keep chanting your name and telling you to get up, and in my case, they'll jump in the ring and get you up, and then you know, ready to go on another round, even though that's probably not right, but they're willing to do that for you. And but family is not a choice, friends are. And Sounds like your friend Pike is awesome friend and unique. And well, I have also a great friend, and he's here in this room, who does that for me, and I'm not scared to do it for him. Um, and there's something very admirable in that. And I have friends at home, but what about people who become very sensitive and you tell when or your opinion about it when they're doing something that's off, they're doing something that's wrong, and you try and help them by saying, hey, you could have done this better, hey, I'm holding you accountable, but yet they become resentful towards them. That means they're not ready for change, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I have friends like that. My trick or technique is I say, hey, I did this once. I told my friend that, hey, man, I love you, and I want other people to love you too. If yeah, I noticed something. If you ever want to hear it, let me know. Usually they want to hear it right away. Yeah. Or I just tell someone, I have some ideas, like I kind of ask them if they're ready, like make sure, like I want them to ask me what it is. So I just say like, hey, I noticed something that you do. It's not too serious, but if you want to hear it, let me know. Or yeah, I'll say that. I'll let them ask me. I'll figure out a way to make them ask me. But if they don't want to know, then they won't ask. Then it's fine.
And if you never drop the shield, you're never going to be able to swing. So yeah, I'm glad I have friends that allow their shields to be dropped, and myself, and you've allowed your shield to be dropped too with me.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for that, Sean, because it was kind of weird for you probably, for you to have your friend who's an amazing friend, Kunkao. I mean, I just met him a couple weeks ago, but he is a genuinely nice, awesome, smart, intellectual, kind person who didn't just put your name out there. I looked you up on Instagram. I saw your coffee shop. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a coffee shop Kunkao was talking about. I'm going to take my chance. And I went and showed up in your coffee shop asking for you like a crazy person, probably to all your people. And you dropped your shield for me. I wasn't expecting that. So especially like you said, I'm very cordial, but I do it out of respect.
Yeah.
Out of respect.
It's cool.
Yeah. I'm just going to go down topics about your book, Sean. Everybody should not only get it, but they check it out, but actually read it. 51 Weapons of the Wise. You talk about fear and how, if I'm going off psychology, there's when fear happens, fight, flight, or freeze. And you wrote it about in a different way that makes so much more sense for the audience that doesn't want to use that type of terminology or whatnot. And you said, if I remember correctly, that fear will do one or two things. Either it'll make you stand still, and if we want to relate that to psychology, that's freeze. Or it will make you get up and do something about it, which is either flight or fight.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that definition?
Oh shit! I didn't know that it was. I didn't know that it was actually psychological. Yeah.
Everything about this book is psychological, Sean.
Crazy. That one, just from my experiences and I guess analyzing what happened in my life, I realized that I'm only afraid of things I don't understand. If it was like I used to compete in Muay Thai, and my opponent, the first time you have an opponent, you're scared of him. But when you study tape on him, you're less fearful. When you practice the techniques that can beat him, because after you watch the tape, you become confident that I could beat this guy. So I would say, if you're confident 100%, that's not good, because you get cocky and you could get caught. I've been caught because I thought I could totally just beat this guy. So then I wrote in the book that fear is not something bad. You can use that extra, I guess, 10% or 20% of fear to keep you aware that this guy is still dangerous, or whatever you're doing is dangerous, but you've prepared and you're more confident. But keep the fear there, because the fear will keep you awake and aware. Like I said, if a lion comes in the room, or there's a snake, and we're just totally calm, we're not even afraid of it, like not even a little bit. We'll just, we'll pick it up, and then it could bite us and it could be poisonous. So I don't look at fear as a bad thing. Yeah. I think fear keeps us alive. I think we're programmed to be fearful. I think back in tribal days, we're in a tribe, there's a noise in the leaves in the jungle, and then if you're just happy and you're like, oh, what is that, and then a lion comes out and eats you. So I guess we're programmed to automatically think negatively and be fearful right away. So I think it's a good thing.
So basically using fear to your advantage to propel you to move forward. And if you're not fearful, which is kind of like what America teaches you, never fear, never, or not America, just that side of the world, that type of culture, which is never fear and always be so, then there's something going wrong. Did fear help you reach where you're at today? That fear of, well, you know what? I'm gonna let you answer that. How did fear help you be where you're at today? Whoa. Right now with me here, with everything that you got going on.
Fear of making my family look bad. That's a big one. I think I was one of the cousins that seemed least likely to succeed. Yeah. But I prove them wrong. They all say, my family says good things about me to each other. So that was one fear, fear of failing. But also I think I didn't have too many fears. Yeah, I didn't have too many fears. But those are big ones though, for me at least. I feel like I could die happy. I made my family proud. I mean, I feel like everything I'm doing now is just extra, like just extra things that I want to accomplish in life.
Please don't become complacent though. The world needs people like you to keep moving forward and make it bigger.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm still getting signs. It's not my time yet. I thought that if I helped to a certain point, I believe that I completed my mission here and I'll die young. I always see these cool people die young, I want to die young. That'd be cool. Like one cool plus about that is that no one ever sees you get old. And then they remember you for all the good things you did, so you have, you don't really, if I mess up when I'm older, like you imagine Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, or let's say Muhammad Ali never got the chance to get old and have Parkinson's, right? He would always be remembered as like this really strong superhero guy, right? So I think that's one of the pluses of dying young. But if I were to talk about what I'm gonna do next, is that that book, I was completely just I would say like normal with everything. I wasn't excited about what I was writing down. I was just really I don't know what that word is. It's not excited but not bored. It's
neutral.
Neutral, yeah, just neutral with everything. Thank you. With everything. You asked me earlier, was it hard for me to write that book, or how much work did I put in? I was really neutral with everything, because I will not write anything that I haven't experienced or done, or anything out of my experience. I'll never write second-hand knowledge. It's always got to be first-hand knowledge. I've always had to have done it. So since I've done it, I was just really neutral with it. And I talked to a singer about it. He says like when someone learns something new and they're so excited about it and then they share it, it's sometimes that new information, when you're excited about it, he says that it's higher than you, it's above you, it has more power than you. But he says when you're neutral with a certain thing, then he says that means you're above it, you control it. So I really like that idea, and I always want to apply that to the things, my content, or the books that I'm going to write. Right now, I'm extremely neutral with social media marketing. So I'm writing a book now. I think it's done. I just have to like edit it. It's called Influencer.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. The interview got cut off, but we were talking about how when you wrote the book, Sean, that you were in a neutral state.
Yeah.
And you weren't too excited, or you were just even keeled,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the Buddhist philosophy. When you meditate, you're supposed to be neutral. And you did get results off the book. Is that the way you live your life, by being neutral?
That's the way I would want it. I guess be neutral when I want to convey experiences or information. Like with that, I notice, and a lot of artists say this too, whatever they feel neutral with, that this is whatever's, it always goes viral, or always it becomes the hit song. So that's actually one of my tricks is, if the topic, the video I'm recording today, if I'm just bored of it, like whatever's with it, I want to do it, because I feel like those are the ones that go viral, or that's the book that will sell well, or the song that would be a hit. I talked to a lot of artists that have hit songs, and they all say the same thing. They did not think this one would be the one, and whatever the one they thought was like, wow, this is gonna be it, it wasn't it. And when I recorded this video called "Be Proud of Your Scars," I think it has 20 million, 30 million views. That one, Lindsay Lohan put it on her IG, and then that's what kind of put me, because all of her friends and like the people in that entertainment industry saw it as well. So then there's another video I told a story of the man with 4 wives, and P. Diddy shared that video.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. You know the 4 wives?
I don't know that.
You want to hear it, or
Yeah,
you're
of
tired
course.
of stories?
Oh no,
Okay.
man, no, I am not tired of stories.
All
I love
right.
to hear it.
So once upon a time there was a king with 4 wives. His first wife was the one that he was always buying her nice gifts, nice clothing, right? He loved her the most. But he was this day he was sick, like he was gonna. He's on his deathbed. I forgot to say. I haven't told this story in a long time. He's on his deathbed, so he calls his 4th wife. Oh shit! I'm so sorry. Did I say this was the first wife?
Yeah.
Let me restart, everyone. There's a king on his deathbed. He has 4 wives. He called his 4th wife in, the wife that he loved the most, and said, "I'm going to die. Would you go to the afterlife with me?" And the 4th wife said, "No." He just walked away. The 3rd wife, he called his 3rd wife in, and said, "I'm going to die. Would you go to the afterlife with me?" The 3rd wife was his wife that he would always buy nice things for. Yeah. And she said, "No, but when you die, I'm going to remarry." Yeah. So he calls in his 2nd wife and says, "I'm going to die. Would you go to the afterlife with me?" And the 2nd wife says, "I love you, but I can't do that. But I can arrange your funeral, and I could be with you until you die. And then a voice from the background says, I'll go with you anywhere you go. And that was his first wife, the wife that he would ignore the most. And then he just felt sad that, oh wow, like the person that loves me the most, is the one I ignored the most. And the story ends there, but the moral of the story is that we all have 4 wives. The 4th wife is our body, right? When we die, can't go with us. The 3rd wife is our possessions. We buy things, right? But in the end, they get given to other people. Just like how the 3rd wife said, I'm going to remarry. I'm going to have a different partner, different owner. The 2nd wife is our family and friends. They can arrange our funeral, and they can see us until we die, but they can't go with us. But the 4th wife is our soul. We spend so much time taking care of our body, our friends and family, our possessions, but we never take time to be alone, pray, meditate, take care of our soul, to hear our inner voice. So, in that story is trying to remind people that, cherish your body, feed it good food, cherish your possessions for the comfort they provide, cherish your friends and family for the love that they provide, but also don't forget to look after your soul. Yeah, spend time alone.
And that's something that you've mentioned in your writing, that don't be scared to say no for the benefit of yourself, so you take care of yourself. Do you still take time every week to go to the movie and treat yourself?
Yeah, I do that, and I said no today. They wanted me to come help give a talk. There was a lot of people here today. There's a talk every Saturday, but since I was feeling down about my phone, I just said I'm going home and take a nap. I wasn't tired, but I was just sad. So I just went home.
I feel somewhat responsible for your phone breaking. I mean, technically, like you showed me your sacred meditation spot, and I appreciate that for me.
Yeah.
And
I look at it positively. What I'm thinking is, if I have to send it back to Apple to fix it, I won't have a phone for like a week or 2 weeks, because they have to mail it to the place, fix it, and mail it back. So I think I'll just take those 7 days to be phoneless and go into the forest. Yeah.
That's cool. There's so many topics I want to continue talking about, Sean. I hope you don't mind. I know you've been here for a while already talking, and I truly enjoy this conversation. You talk about in your book about, I believe it's the successful portion, because your book is split into 3. Like we talked about self, social, success, and spirituality.
Yes.
And everything is intertwined into one, but you separate it so people understand each section. Well, in the success part, you talk about consistency, and I believe you use the example of Kobe Bryant, which I love and I truly admire. And you said how sometimes basketball players get 2 a days in, 2 practices a day, but Kobe, he woke up at 3 in the morning to get that 3rd time in a day in. And Kobe Bryant, as time went on, 2 hours every day added up.
Yeah.
And players weren't willing to do that extra session, but the fact that he was allowed him to reach that level of greatness. And players weren't going to be able to catch up to him because they weren't putting in those 2 hours. Well, sometimes people get inspired, and you mentioned that inspiration is a feeling that you get. And that's where I was going before the cameras cut off, because you talked about being neutral and how a lot of times people act on their on there. Oh, I want to be excited when I do something. I want to do this because it raises some level of excitement, of that type of dopamine release, you know. And you're operating on a neutral level.
Yeah.
Can you touch upon for the audience so they understand the importance of consistency and the difference between inspiration and consistency?
Yeah. Sure. Well, I think first you talked about the book being divided into 4 parts. Yeah. The reason I did that was because it's self first. So you work on yourself, self-improvement. Yeah. And once you improve yourself, you can go out and be social. So you need social skills, right? The main part in that is manners can take you where money can't, right? So you need to have social skills. You have to have good mannerisms. After that, I feel like you worked on yourself, you worked on your social skills, you're more likely to be successful, yeah? And then I talk about the traits of being successful. So one is consistency, yeah? I think inspiration is a great thing. And then I think that one thing that helped me was I would inspire myself every day. I would download the clips, the inspirational soundtracks and the clips, and put it actually on my phone. And sometimes when I listen to music or an audiobook, those inspirational talks would just come up and build me up. So I think you have to inspire yourself every day, often. I did that every single day. I listened to the same inspirational clips and find more and more. But at the same time, I would consistently take action, but then I didn't it wasn't intensity. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk said it. Consistency is greater than intensity. Yeah. And I really love that. The people would be surprised on my schedule on how I made videos. It was only in the beginning, for some reason I start on Thursday. So record on Thursday, edit a little bit on Thursday, spend the whole Friday editing, and then posting it on Friday night to be Saturday morning. And Saturday I would just enjoy commenting back and watching the views go up and things like that. Then Sunday I take a break. No, Saturday was the break. Sunday I would record again. And then Monday edit, and then upload it Tuesday, take a break Wednesday, and do it Thursday.
Oh,
so
wow, nice.
2 videos a week, but it's not too much work. I was able to do it consistently because it wasn't too much work. And consistency, I think, is the key. And then I changed it to only 1 video a week because my idea was I wanted to be consistent, but I wanted people to miss me. I wanted them to wait for my content. Like, oh, when is he going to put another one out, you know? So that was my idea. And it worked. That way worked for me. But now I've adjusted because it's been a long time that I have so much content that I could just reuse the same ones over and over, and then I can make a new content once a month now, and then it seems even more special. And during the time I have off, I do other things like open up a coffee shop or studio or do a clothing brand with my friend. But the consistency, my trick in the book is I say set it up so you can do it easily, so you don't have to use so much willpower to do it. Because a lot of the time people, I guess we only have so much willpower in a day. If you want to record videos, you want to set it up so that you sit down and you just press a button and you can record. So you don't have to put the camera on the tripod, set up the tripod, get the angle, get the seat, get the lighting. I would say set everything up so that you can just walk to your seat and press the button and then record. And if you're a writer, I would just say get a desk with your laptop and just have Microsoft Word open and just leave it like that and set a time. You have to set a time so that you're like clockwork, because then it helps you not have emotion. um, I would always record Thursday night, Thursday at 7 p.m. So when it comes to 7 p.m., no matter what I feel, I just have to go record at 7 p.m. So success no longer becomes like a choice. Success becomes like a scheduled thing. Like it's gonna happen because I've set up my life to get this accomplished. Yeah. That video that I talk about, it's called "Be Proud of Your Scars," where when a bowl is broken in Japan, it's put back together with the cracks being filled with gold, because the Japanese believe that things that have a history are more beautiful. So that's why they paint the cracks with gold. And that's the same thing for humans. You know, the more we go through, the uglier our life has been. It produces like a very interesting person. So that video, I was so tired. I was sleeping and I had to wake up to go film. I filmed on this desk, but it was in my condo, and I was wearing my underwear and a black shirt. But no one knows. I just filmed, the camera was up here. And then I just was so neutral with that. I was like, this video, no one's gonna watch this, right? I was like, maybe 100,000, like not in the millions. But then it happened to be one of the first ones that a celebrity picked up and shared it. Just because I set a time that I would record at this time, this day of the week. So I say consistency is I think one of the biggest factors to accomplish your goals.
That's such valuable insight that it's incredible. Staying true and sticking with it, even when you don't feel like it and you're not inspired, because you never know.
Yeah.
And you never know, and eventually it adds up.
Yeah.
It's definitely worked for you. That's the recipe for success I need to follow. What about consistency? I'm switching over to the spirituality part of your book. Consistency with praying and meditating, and like we talked about earlier, praying for the right path, what you should do, what the purpose is. So where's the consistency involved for you in that?
Consistently, I fall off on that because my life, the past years, I've been chasing success, although there was a point that I did practice, my rituals for a year consistently. But what I think it did was built a foundation of how I would become successful, because I started to believe that everything happens for a reason. And if you look at it like, practically, maybe everything doesn't happen for a reason. But if you believe that everything happens for a reason, then you find the usefulness in every situation. So I choose to believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe it 100%, but it makes even if it's not true, it makes my life more effective that I believe this, so I'm okay. I find the meaning, I find the use in every single interaction, everything I do. Even my phone breaking, I believe that I'm supposed to go repair it, and I'm supposed to go in the forest and go practice. I'm going to make use of it. So I think it is a good foundation. I have a friend that was chasing success, but he didn't have a foundation in spirituality or in a belief system that was higher than himself. And he never reached it. But now he's taking a break, and he's Christian, right? So he pursues that. He prays a lot. And then it's funny how all religions have someone with supernatural powers, like if you meditate enough, you unlock eight abilities, apparently, from what I've read. In Christian too, they have it. Like some people that Charlie's Christian, he says there's if some people pray for 3 hours, and then some people are able to have these like little extra abilities, supernatural abilities. Like every religion has it, but that's not the point. I think I'm trying to say that maybe spend time, consistently doing your spiritual practices, rituals, to build that good foundation. And then once you take action in the direction of your dreams, I think it would be a more pleasant path, maybe a more pleasant path, and you have a good foundation.
And we're talking about Christianity and Buddhism a lot throughout this interview, but there's other three major religions in the world, and much more religions than that. I want to, I don't want to fit them all into a box, but you mentioned how they all have this person that's that has power or has control.
Yeah.
And a lot of religions, they tend to sometimes get hijacked, and the message gets lost in the part where if you don't do this because the religion doctrine says something specific, and I'm going to take Christianity for example because that's the one I was up brought. If you have sex or if you lie, then God's going to put his wrath on you and that type of stuff, right? But sex before marriage, or if you use a condom, all this stuff. But sometimes the religion and all those rules, they screw what's really important, which is it's supposed to be a way to access that spiritual, that divine spirit. What do you believe about that, Sean? Because I was just talking about that with my friend and my beautiful girlfriend the other day.
I'm gonna be okay to look crazy in front of your audience. I believe it's true. I believe that you can have like sixth senses, like the supernatural like abilities, but I believe they can be scientifically explained one day. Just like how people used to dance or sacrifice things for the rain, but later, as we developed, we figured out that rain comes from the clouds, and the clouds form from the sun, and it can be scientifically explained each step by step. So I feel like these things could be explained later. I don't know how they're explained, but they say when you meditate to a certain point, you can there's 8 abilities that the soul has, right? Some of them is being able to kind of just feel what that person's feeling, or even like you even can say what they're thinking. Some like fortune telling, seeing someone's future, or seeing someone what they did in the past. But the highest one in the 8 in the Buddhism is that you can cut out all of the greed, like all of the, I don't know what that word is, but you can cut out, if it's with Christianity, it's like cutting out all the 7 deadly sins. Like you can cut out all the lust, you can cut out the greed, you can cut out sloth, you can, every human like thing that you could do that hinders you, you can not let it affect you. So that's the highest one after you've meditated to a certain point. But I do believe in those things, but it's also because like I wouldn't if I didn't see it with my own eyes, or experience some weird things. So I do believe in those things. I'll save those stories for when I write that book, because I don't necessarily like believe it unless I experience it. So if someone tells me that people can sit and meditate for 7 days straight without drinking water or eating, I have to try it, and I have to practice it, and I want to be able to do it, and then I'll write a book about it. So that's where I was going with earlier when I was talking about this book. I'm neutral with it. The influencer book, the social media strategy book, I'm neutral with it, and then I have to do this practice until I'm neutral with it, see if it's real, and then I'll write a book about it.
Bro, how correlated is consistency with obsession? Because you also talked about that in your book. So in one end, you're telling me it's good to be neutral, and that's what you've done. That's the kind of the philosophy you live in your life. That's the way you wrote this book, 51 Weapons of the Wise, which is an amazing book. But you also talked about obsession, and I think you also mentioned Kobe Bryant again. So he had consistency, and he was obsessed with basketball. Can you maybe clear that up for me a little bit?
Sure. I think I used Conor McGregor's quote. He says, "I'm not talented, I'm obsessed."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He said
that's
that.
right.
He said we're all equals as human beings, but he's just obsessed with fighting. And I think I mentioned that it's hard to compete with someone who's obsessed with it. Yeah. Like Kun Kao's obsessed with the brain. He just loves the brain. It's just another word for saying that something you love or something you're passionate about, and whatever it is you want to do all the time, you have to figure out a way how that can earn you a living.
Yeah.
And the only way that I know is what you like to do and figure out how it could benefit other people. I liked reading philosophy books. I liked hearing stories. The way I helped other people was I shared it with other people. I think if you like to do business, and you teach other people how to do business, you can make a living off of that. People say, I made more from teaching people how to do real estate than actually doing real estate. I've heard people say that. Yeah. So I think find what you're obsessed with just by noticing what you like to do. But if you don't like to do anything, then you have to try as many things as you can to see what you like. I have a friend that started getting into woodwork when he's 40, and he just now all he does is his business is about wood. And so you never know what you're gonna like. You just got to keep trying different things. Once you find what you're obsessed with, you just figure out how it benefits other people, how your obsession benefits other people.
I'm going to share now. Yesterday, and we started off the interview about bad moments and to make sure you weren't an alien. Yesterday, I was actually having a really rough day. Before I saw you and later that night, and you invited me here to talk to you. When I went to visit the addiction treatment center and I sat down with the chief clinical director, I'm not sure if that's his exact title, but in the States it's called the clinical director. When he asked me what I was doing there, I was told him, I was just trying to find out information about the treatment center.
Yeah.
And he said, but how do you make money off this? How do you make money off this? And I don't make money off this. I hope to write a book or I haven't figured it out yet. But it made me realize, because you were touching on greed, that he's working in a place where only the richest of the richest can get in there. I think it's I'm not even going to throw a figure out there because I'm unsure, but if the only people that get to go there, the majority are Australians, Europeans, people from the States, or people from the Middle East that have money, and it doesn't actually help the Thai people. Greed can sometimes blind us. And I think he missed the point about, after working there for such a long time, about the importance of mental health and spreading it in the community. And I don't know why I had to share that. I just wanted to share it with you. But that's very interesting what you just said, Sean, and that's very insightful. So I'm going to keep going. And oftentimes I have people that message me, Sean, about, what do I do? Where do I go to study psychology? Do you have any plans? They're almost looking for like a mentor type of figure. And did you have a mentor growing up, and how or over the last few years getting to where you're at?
Yeah, mentors. One of the most important ones. Yeah. If you don't have good people around you like that can mentor you, I think online is a good place to find them. There's a lot. Joe Rogan or Elliot Hulse. I don't know if anyone knows Elliot Holmes. Yeah. Breathe into your balls. Yeah. Yeah. Elliot Holmes. I listened to him. He started getting a little. Out, like a little spiritual. He started doing Osho, dynamic meditation, jumping and chanting and stuff. And he before I would watch him often, and then I like his old stuff. But mentors online, very important. Mentors in person, I would just ask a lot of people questions, like people in their field that they're good at. I would ask them. If I would say I had like a mentor, like a specific one, I didn't have one specific mentor, but I did have, the reason I came to Thailand was because I had an opportunity to do acting. That's why I could do sword fighting. I was in a film that I have to fight with 2 swords. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What movie is that called? So I check it out.
ATITA, Atita. It's called Atita, but it's a TV series.
Oh.
And I could just show you part when I'm killing people, but she mentored me. The owner of the production company mentored me. She said, the higher you go, the more humble you must become. That was one of the most important lessons I've gotten. She said, the higher you go, the lower you have to bow. Not the opposite. Yeah.
So you're saying that you don't necessarily need the mentor to be face to face. You can find a mentor online, such as Joe Rogan or Elon Musk or Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
You can watch their videos and learn a lot from them.
Gary Vaynerchuk is a good one. If you can withstand his squeaky voice and his speed, he says I call him like the street Buddha because he says some things that is like what Buddha says, but he just says it with curse words and layman's terms. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's just it's so true. I've heard him before. My friend put me on him, and he's always cursing and stuff like that. And
I like him. I actually am on his his text messaging list. Like he'll send me texts, but I know it's like a big text thing. Yeah, but that's funny. Dan Locke is a good one.
Yeah,
I'm actually in email with his right hand guy. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. Yeah. It's this Asian guy. I don't remember. I'll show you the email. But that one thing about that is cool is that follow-up emails are great. They didn't answer my first email. And then I sent them an email next month saying that, hey, I know an email can, get past your eyes. You must be busy. But, just letting you know that, I'm still here, in Thailand. If you interview, if I could help you with anything, let me know. And then they messaged me saying, thank you for the follow-up email. I appreciate it. And then we talked. So, yeah. I like how you messaged Kun Kao and you messaged me. And then if you ever want to get in contact with anyone else, then follow-up emails are a great way
I
to
was
do
just doing what you say in your book, reading the signs and taking the opportunity. And it's worked out so far. With that being said, with the mentors, what happens if someone is having some trouble finding a good mentor?
Mm-hmm.
Necessarily someone that doesn't, let's say, have access to the internet or social media, which is about if I'm not mistaken, I think I got this statistic from Kun Kao, which is like 3.5 billion people.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I have a recipe, like a 3-step thing. The first one is first step is changing your location, because it's in the book.
Yeah.
Changing your location is changing your destiny. If you are on a train and you want a seat, but you're standing at the door, it's less likely that you'll get a seat when, people get off the train. You have to stand in the middle where all the seats are, right? So you have to move closer to the thing that you want. If you want to be a Hollywood actor, you have to move to Hollywood. If you want to do fashion, you gotta go to a fashion capital like New York or like Tokyo, Paris, whatever. If you want to be a filmmaker, if you want to be, you go to whoever's making films. You go closer to the thing you want to become. So you change the location. Yeah, that's step one. Yeah. Step two is to understand that luck. We talked about this. Yeah, luck comes from other people. So the more people you meet, the more opportunities arise, the better more information you get. You might ask people that, hey, do you know anyone around here who if you want to make money, let's say, who's a good business person who makes the most money around my area? You go closer to them, you go to their shop, you help them, be their intern, So first step, change your location. Second step, meet more people. And the third step is whatever it is you want to do, you prepare for it right now. Because when an opportunity arises and you can't perform the task, it's no longer lucky. It becomes a misfortune. So if you prepare, and as soon as you get the opportunity to perform the task and you can do it, you impress the people, then your life changes. Then you're lucky. Yeah. But if you haven't prepared, becomes a misfortune. So I think those are the 3 steps, I think, to changing someone's life, to getting a mentor, I guess. Change your location, move closer to the thing you want to become. And when you do that, meet more people, and then prepare yourself.
It's like the alchemist said, you move forward and you follow your dreams, because if you don't reach it, which is scary for some people when in the book, or you say change your location, that must be scary for some people. It's even scary for me when I think about it. But it's like the Paulo Coelho said within The Alchemist, you can always turn back. You can always come back and do what you were doing, but it would be a huge, like you said, misfortune.
That's a good one. Hey, Pai.
If you
come in. Come in, brother. I was just telling them we were talking about you in a good way. Yeah.
Oh man. So we have our both best friends in here, I guess. So what mentor was the one that told you don't compare yourself to others? Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20, is what you said.
That was a quote I read. But man, the story that got me, this was just a story. Whoever wrote this story helped me. This one, I told this story, and the Prince of... You're in the camera, Pai. You have to go here. Yeah, they're here. The camera's here. Jamu.
I love it.
Yeah. Is your shop up? Tang Lan? Okay. Yeah. So, this story, I'll tell you, the Prince of Dubai shared this, and once you hear the story, you'll realize why the crown prince of the next king of Dubai shared this story. Okay. Yeah, I think this might be the last one I tell, because I've told many, and then I want your audience to go watch the other videos.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. Sure they will.
This one is called the Peacock and the Crow.
I love that one. That was my favorite one in the whole book. In the whole book, yes.
Oh, so you know it. So I don't have to tell it then.
I honestly recommend my audience to read this book and buy it and watch your videos. That is my favorite story.
Wow.
And the lesson, if I'm not mistaken, in that story was, if you always look at what someone else has, you'll never be happy. In the end, we all have the color or the outside. We all have something that someone else wants, and that's something we should cherish.
David wants me to tell it. He was just like, tell it.
Go ahead.
I got it. Crow and the Peacock. Quick one, very quick one. One day there was a crow living in a forest. And the crow, he was happy just flying around, but he saw a lake and there was a swan. I've never told this story in years. Yeah, so it's kind of okay. Yeah, so there's a swan, And there's a kid, trying to give food to the swan and taking pictures of it. And then the crow said, wow, that swan is so beautiful. And, people want to give him food. But when people see me, they just shoo me away. So he said, like, wow, that swan must be one of the happiest birds in the world. So he flew over to the swan and asked, hey, how does it feel, to be so happy, the happiest bird in the world? And the swan says, I used to think I was the happiest bird in the world, but I only have one color. But the parrot has two colors, many colors. You should ask the parrot, how he feels to be the happiest bird in the world. So the crow flies over and finds a parrot and says, hey, parrot, how does it feel to be so beautiful, so colorful? How does it feel to be the happiest bird in the world? And the parrot says, I used to think I was the happiest bird in the world until I saw the peacock. The peacock has so many colors, and people from all over the world come to see the peacock and take pictures of him. You can find him at the zoo. So the crow flies to the zoo and sees that there's hundreds of people taking pictures of the peacock. So he waits for everyone to leave, and then the crow flies over to the peacock and says, hey, how does it feel? Like people from all over the world come to see you and take pictures of you, and you're so famous, like you must be so happy. Like, how does it feel? And the peacock says, I used to think I was the happiest bird in the world. But I looked around the zoo, and I see that the only bird that is not in a cage is the crow. So then he says, then I must ask you, my friend, how does it feel to be the happiest bird in the world? Yeah.
I hope the audience understands the moral of the story there. Don't compare yourself to others. And today, talking about that, we saw a peacock.
Yeah, we saw three.
We saw 3 peacocks, and with beautiful colors.
Yeah.
But it couldn't fly, and the crow can. And I hope everybody understands in the audience. I don't have all the answers, neither does Sean, as amazing as he is, but if we always look at what we don't have, we'll never find true happiness.
Yeah.
And we all have something that's admirable and that we can use as a strength to propel us forward. And talking about what we were talking about earlier, I guess the peacock must be the actors in Hollywood, huh?
Maybe, yeah. But if you think about it, you could see why the prince would share it, because everyone thinks he's rich, he's royalty, and he should be really happy. But no one sees the struggle he's going through. I don't think he can go anywhere, without people, saying something to him, or so much pressure from the family to be the next king, to look after a country. I can only imagine, what he's going through. I have no idea.
It must be tough, and I'm sure you experienced that sometimes, Sean. I mean, today when you took me to your sacred meditation spot, the moment someone came up to you, which I'm sure, you took a picture with them because you're kind, and you don't seem the type to turn someone away or say something negative. But the moment it was over, I saw you put on your hoodie, and I knew right there and then that what you do, you love. But sometimes you just need some peace and quiet and away from everything. And now I'm asking you, from what you told me earlier, how sometimes things don't seem right, and you get the vibe, and someone may want something from you. You must sometimes feel like the peacock as well, huh?
Yeah, but let me tell you why I put on the hoodie and why I wear a mask when I go outside. You saw me wearing a mask earlier.
I did.
I do that when there's people with me, because I don't want the people with me to wait for me to take a picture.
Oh.
Yeah. With my girlfriend too. When we go out, I always wear a mask and the hoodie. Or with friends. I hate it when I'm with a group of like 8 people and we're walking and they have to wait for me to take a picture. So I wear the mask. But I don't mind taking pictures. The only time I would ever mind is when I'm feeling down and someone asks me to take a picture. Like earlier, like I was sad about my phone, so I was sitting out there with Charlie. Like we were eating, we were drinking coconuts, and then one person came to ask to take a picture, and I was like, okay, yeah, take one. And then another person came, but this person asked to take like, they wanted me to like, don't stand straight. They wanted me to bend down to be, the same height as them.
Yeah.
They wanted me to get this angle of their restaurant and put my thumb up. So after that, I didn't even pay. I just walked over here. I haven't paid yet. I forgot. Yeah, I just walked over here, and then that's when I went home. That's when I realized that if I need to take a rest, I need to stay inside my house. So I drove my motorcycle back home, and then I took a nap and played with my dog, and now I'm here, ready. I really like what this one person says is that I'm going to interview him next month. He's a TV host. He says the moment you walk out of your house and you're a public figure, you're working. He says there's no such thing as alone time. You sacrifice, you work 1 hour and you get this much money. You do this one show, you do this one interview, you get this much money. You get things that no one else gets. So you have to live the way no one else lives. Mm-hmm. The moment you walk out the house, you're working. So love that guy. Yeah. And so that's a great philosophy, and that's what I use. So every time I'm out, I'm prepared. Except the moment that I was sad, my phone broke and I was like, yeah, show the camera. This was the first phone I ever bought myself.
You have to show. You mentioned it.
Yeah. So then I was really sad. I was like, because I love it. It's like, I'm sorry, the glass. I'm sorry that I didn't take care of you as well as I should have, Yeah. Because I before never buy anything for myself. This place is for my girlfriend. Yeah, man. I bought that Mac Pro for my team to use. I never really buy anything for myself except the phone. Yeah, so I was pretty sad about that, pretty bummed out. But
I hope you don't mind me saying this though, Sean. Whether you bought that phone for yourself or not, it's not worth your happiness.
Yeah. I wasn't sad about the thing. I was sad about that. The sentimental value that, this was the first thing I ever got myself. Yeah, but I don't care about the phone. Like if it was like my bag, I'd be sad too. But this was a gift. But if this was like, if I bought this bag myself, I'm sad I didn't take care of it. Like a living thing. It's leather. It came from a cow that once had life. So I feel sad if I broke it.
That's an awesome way to look at it.
Yeah.
When you mentioned earlier that mannerism will take you where money can't go.
Yeah.
When I think you touched upon it in the book, how you saw someone that was older that was leaving his car to go inside a restaurant, and they needed some help, and you helped them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you saw that this person wasn't just anybody. They were actually a respected individual within the military. Yeah. I'm not sure where it was, but I'm imagining here in Thailand. And they let you in. And the way that you acted in front of that person, your mannerisms, he said, "Oh, can you take a picture with us? Because this man is going to be famous one day."
Yeah.
And that was just one example that you gave.
Yeah.
There was another example where I believe you were eating in a restaurant and it started raining and people just sat around, but you actually got up and you went to pick up the pillows and help him put them inside. No one at that moment said anything. But the next time you came, the owner gave you a 20% lifetime discount.
Yeah.
And
I eat there every day.
You eat there every day. Was this the restaurant that you just accidentally left? But you didn't. No.
But yeah. 2 occasions. There's actually another crazy example in the book, but I helped pick up the dishes and the pillows outside when it was raining, and a week later the owner said they appreciate it and give me a discount forever. And that's pretty awesome, especially at that time. Um, when the time that that old man took a picture with me, the
Yeah.
military guy, it's one of the crazy, like the details of that story is so crazy that it just seems supernatural that your audience won't like it. But yeah, I helped this old man get out the open his car door. They were closing the restaurant, and I helped him, and I helped him, and he appreciated it. And then he's like, hey, let's go talk. So they opened up the restaurant for him, and I was confused. I was like, aren't you they closing? And they're like, no, this they did this event for me. And so he knows the owner, and this is a good restaurant, like a not your average restaurant. Like, I don't know how many stars they give restaurants now, but it had the most stars.
Oh.
Yeah. And this guy just, was telling me, teaching me things that night. And yeah, just teaching me. And he took a picture with me. He told his secretary, hey, take a picture with me and this kid, because in the future this kid's gonna be famous. Yeah. So yeah, he was kind of, it that was one of the things that made me believe in supernatural things, because this guy did meditate as well. He survived war as well. But who knows, maybe he's just if scientifically, maybe he could just see the potential in somebody, and he could see that this person's gonna go far,
Mm.
but there's some things he said about my life that night that no one should have known. And it's kind of like The Alchemist. I didn't read the book The Alchemist yet. So when I read The Alchemist, when Santiago met the old king, I started crying, because I was like, oh my God, this is my life. That I randomly met an old man that was just telling me, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be washing the dishes for your friends, or cleaning their house like a maid. You're better than this, And then I just started crying that night. And then I actually touched it. I held his hand. I was like, you can see? I was like, you can see? And he's like, something like that. Yeah. And then he was telling me some crazy things, just like teaching me. Can I say this? It's kind of, no, I can't say it. It'll look too crazy. I'll tell you guys behind the mic. Yeah. But this guy changed my life, because at that time I was in a bad place, and he told me to fly to America, go back to my home. I was doing like hip hop music it wasn't going anywhere. And he told me that, hey, go back home to America, go back to your home. And I did. And changed my life. From then, I stopped doing music, and I just kept following the signs. Yeah. My friends, one at UCLA and one at New York Film Academy, they were doing a short film, both of them their own short film, and they invited me to act in it. And I did, just for fun. And then they said, hey man, you're good at this. Why don't you go audition for some big roles? And I tried, and then they just, at that time I was young, they just said, like, you can fight, you could do Muay Thai, but you just look too young. Like, I was like, okay, I'll wait till I'm older. But I remembered that while I was in Thailand, I met a lady that wanted me to do acting, the sword fighting film. Yeah.
The one that you got to the finalist.
Yeah. So I was in America, and I was trying to contact this lady again, but the music company I was with wouldn't let me, because they were mad that I left them. So what happened was the next story about me having manners and being nice to people was my dad worked at a casino at the time. He was the pit boss, and there was in the high limit room. So there's this guy that always comes in shorts and sandals and like a raggedy shirt. He always comes in, and my dad's always like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm taking, I brought guests here. And my dad thought he was a taxi driver.
Yeah. From the way he dressed.
Yes.
And his way.
Thought he was like, didn't have much money. So my dad said, "Do you want some food? We have patsi, we have Thai food in the back. I'll give you some." And the guy was like, "No, I'm fine." But after that, him and my dad became close friends because, he saw that my dad had a good heart, wanted to help him. And then later, as their relationship developed, he told my mom and I his name. Like, I have a friend here named blah, 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 blah. And then my mom was shocked. She's like, that guy's like one of the richest Thai people in the world.
Yeah.
And then my dad's like, no way, he dresses like this. And then they showed the picture. And then one day my dad took me to meet him. And I told him who I'm trying to contact. And he's like, I'm really close with that woman that you're trying to meet. I'll give you a present to give to her, right? I can't give you her phone number. So he gave me a present, some collagen pills, like some from pretty expensive collagen pills. So I went to Thailand. I came back the second time with a box of collagen pills. And I went to this company and I waited. It was, I think, a year or two passed, and I was eating a lot and lifting weights to get big because I thought, they like it in America likes it, Thailand must like it. But she saw me and she said, I met you before. Like, are you ready to be an actor? And then she says, but you have to lose weight because, Thai people aren't big like that. So and then she became my mentor for a few years. And then she helped me get to where I'm at today because she taught me the higher you go, the more humble you must become. She told me things like, don't sacrifice money for your legacy, The Miss Universe, like, I think Thailand almost got it 1 year. เมืองไทยเคยได้ไหม Miss Universe? เคยใช่ไหม? Yeah, Thailand got it before. And she was telling her, because in Thailand, taking photo in a bikini is not good. So then she goes like, they might pay, she was telling her, Miss Universe, if they're paying you this much money to take it, but in the long run, your image drops down. So she advised her not to take that job, no matter how many millions it paid. And she listened. So then she taught me at that moment that there's some things that you just don't sacrifice for money. And, that's your reputation, your image, like the long-term thinking.
So every time you were weighed with a decision, that you always weigh the legacy part is heavier than the money, the financial portion.
Yeah.
Which is complete opposite of the other side of the world where money's a huge factor. But that's very interesting, and that's how important mannerism is, and that's why you wrote about that manners will take you where you haven't been, where money can't take you. Excuse me.
Yeah, both occasions that my dad would never have been friends with this billionaire. He owns a whole bunch of boats over in the Bangkok. I can't say his name because he was at a casino, and casino in Thai culture is bad. But I respect that. My dad's friend, my dad became friends with him because he offered some food. I got, I met that old man because I helped him open the door and carry this cup that he was, and I got to be with the owner of the production company. I was like, I tried to have manners around her, be as helpful as I could. At that time was a crazy part of my life because I just felt like I was entering the Great Gatsby, because it's a high society of like really, really like rich people. And then I've never been in there. So then I had to like be quiet and just adapt to like how do they do things, like the way they eat. The fork is like this way. When you're done eating, you put them together. I had to learn all of that stuff.
And sorry for cut you off there, Sean, but with mannerism will take you where money can't go. We talked about how you attribute your success to others, much like myself. You take responsibility for your success. You acknowledge that there were actions that you took, but you also acknowledge that there was a lot of people that were along the way that if they wouldn't have been there, your success is in question.
Yeah.
And you talked, and now I'm going to take this interview, I hope you don't mind, but to a word that you just said, adaptability, being able to adapt.
Yeah.
And as a mental health professional, I know that the ability to adapt is actually what made the human brain what it is. If not, we would have died by lions and bears and without having food. But we always had to adapt to the situation, adapt to the environment, and constantly adapt ourselves to challenge, to grow, and reach different developmental stages, whether it be Erickson's, Piaget's, whatever. So how important has adaptability been in your life? Being able to say, this isn't working, I need to try something new. Or I'm in a new environment, I need to adjust my mannerisms.
Yeah. That one. Luckily, I read this book called Mastery. And they talked about adapting when you go somewhere new. One of the keys is don't stand out is one of the keys is to just lay back and observe who is on the rise, who is on the fall, where all the information goes through, like who's the person that everyone tells things to, who
The
has
hierarchy.
power. Yeah, just observe everything. And I did that when I came here. I was just quiet, just observe. And the reason why adaptability was so important was because I read this quote, and it said something that the creature that survives is not the fastest, strongest, or smartest, but the one that is able to adapt the quickest. So I really loved that quote. And they did debunk it, that they say that Charles Darwin said it, but if you go to like quote checker or fact checker, then they say there's no record of him actually saying that. I have no idea who said that now.
I read a book of that talked about Charles Darwin and what he traveled, and he mentioned that the animals, the species, what he actually said was that the species that lasted the longest, that didn't go extinct, are the ones that are able to adapt to their environment. So I'm not sure if that's exactly the same.
Yeah, they in that website where I checked it, they did say that he said something similar and someone just changed it a little bit.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. So I think that quote made me realize that I have to adapt as quickly as I can if I want to thrive. So yeah, then the way to do that is through observing.
Just to throw in some psychology in here, the World Health Organization has adaptability as one of the most important components to maintaining proper mental health.
Wow.
If someone is unable to adapt to an event that occurred, such as, let's use the example from earlier, cutting them off. If they can't just accept that someone cut them off, then they're going to be in a state of mind that is not healthy for them. And who knows for how long, because they're obviously not adapting. So that's very interesting. But we could use words like consistency and obsession, which are awesome words and awesome chapters in your book. But in the success portion of your book, the third section, you talked about a specific game, which I'm sorry I have to mention this because I played the game as well. I was a druid. But in that game, it's there's a whole different world, and there's addiction involved in that game.
Yeah.
I consider myself, looking back, I might have been addicted, because from the moment I woke up, I think before I went to the bathroom, I was already logging into the game.
Me too.
But what it's funny how sometimes from a game we can learn so much and apply it in real life.
Yes.
And what were some of the lessons you learned playing World of Warcraft?
Many. I actually listed out in the book. But before that, what kind of, were you a resto druid, or what kind of druid were you?
I was a druid because I loved adapting. So sometimes I was resto, typically for PvE purposes, until I played BC and pre-BC. So I'm not sure when you played. So when you were only up to level 60 and then up to level 70. Before level 60, I was a resto druid because there was a lot of PvE, and even in PvP, resto druids were what was in. And then after, when BC came out, they upgraded the druids so they can also tank very well. And so I started taking advantage. Then I started doing more PvP, and I transferred to Korgaf for the opportunity of seeing if I could join Death and Taxes, which was the #1 guild in all of World of Warcraft. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to get access into that guild, but I did join other guilds that were very high up. So the ability to adapt, and I loved the druid because I could shapeshift, and I felt
Yeah.
as if that's who I was. I can be whoever
Wow.
I needed to be when that time came.
Wow.
So I controlled. I don't know why I'm saying all this. I guess it must be that old addiction I have. But I controlled the leather market, and I made money. I bought the epic mount. I had money. I could do whatever I wanted that game. There was power involved.
You bought and sold in the game.
Yeah.
And you could apply that in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so yeah, same thing with me. I like the choice that people make for the characters. I think it has to do with their personality as well. How you like to shape shift, yeah.
What character did you play?
I played a ret paladin.
Ooh, a paladin. Also,
but the ret was out. No one liked him. You remember? Like no one liked the retribution paladins.
Oh yes.
They were so weak, apparently, to other people. Yeah.
It was the one. It's all about DPS or attacking, basically, like a rogue.
Yeah. I played. Every character I chose was the character that people said was the weakest and the weirdest. So, and then I was a shadow priest before that, and that at that time they sucked.
Ooh, the evil vibe.
Yeah. So, but anything that was a hybrid, if you look at it, at those things, they were the hybrid. Like priest supposed to heal, but then I did the one that did the damage, and then the retribution paladin, they're supposed to heal. Paladins are supposed to heal, but I became the one that did damage. I wanted to be well versed in everything. I always liked the idea of being able to do everything, kind of like a jack of all trades, or even a duck. And they say that that's not good, but I don't believe that. I think it's good.
I'm sorry, I didn't misunderstood the duck.
The duck can fly and swim, but a bird can just fly, and a fish can just swim. But a duck can swim and fly.
Yeah.
So before I would say you had to be a specialist, but now I think being a jack of all trades is good. In this century, yeah. The YouTubers can do it all.
I'm sure you talked about that in the inspirational list, the book you're writing, right?
Yeah, I talked about it, yeah. So in that game, you asked me what did I take the life lessons, right?
Yeah.
So did I tell you this yet, Charlie? What I did? So in the game, there was this top team, PvP team. Their name was crazy. Their name was Pain Olympics. Yeah. And don't search it because it's a horrible video. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Don't see it. It's a guy chopping off body parts of himself. But they named their team Pain Olympics. So yeah, and I wanted to be on their team. So what I did was I looked for who's on their team, and then I found that he was in this certain area of the game in this country, because the game is a world.
Yeah.
So I flew to that country, and I just looked for him, and I guessed where he would be, because there's only certain reasons why you'd be in this country. So it's kind of like you're looking for someone and they're in Thailand. You're gonna go to Bangkok, you're gonna go to the islands, and you're gonna go to Chiang Mai to find this person. So I did that, and I found him, and I just thought, it's a world where someone can just come attack you from the other side, like an enemy that's a real human, a real person. So they come attack, and I would help him. So I wanted to just help this guy and become friends with him. Yeah. So I became friends with him, and then they invited me to join their not the 5v5 team, but just the guild where everyone can be in it. If you have a certain skill level. And then I just kept, whenever they had events where they would do like a war song Gulch, is that what it's called? Yeah, Alteric Valley, anything that required a lot of people, I would go and I would want to show them like, hey, I have skill, I could do this. And then eventually I got on their team. Just one day they invited me on the 5v5 team, and the setup was so crazy. the 5v5 team. Have you ever faced a team like this? It's so ridiculous. They had 2 mages that could do
The fire mage.
the fire mage that could just
It was all about crit.
and they have this one ability that they could just shoot the strongest shot
Yeah.
out. So they had 2 of those, and then they had they had no healing. It was just
my
crazy.
gosh,
They
that
just
is
had like
insane.
they would just blitz and just kill
Yeah.
someone right away. And I was the priest, the shadow priest that would they put me in because I had this ability that would put 5% more damage from spells on the person.
Yeah.
So it was just a crazy team. And then we went far, like top 5. They were even considered number 1 before. And the reason, and then one day after that I became famous in the game, and then I became rich in the game. So at 16 I said, if I apply everything I applied in the game to real life, I'll be rich and I'll be famous in real life.
Yeah.
and it worked. I applied every single thing I learned from the game, and then some more, you know. So in that book I kind of divide like exactly every single thing I did to be successful in the game, and how I applied it in my life.
Hard work met preparation.
Yeah.
And not only that, preparation, but you also seeked out the
Yeah.
people that you needed to talk to.
Yeah, I did my step.
It was
Change your location, you change your destiny.
and you weren't just waiting around.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Kind of I think I applied that by coming here to Chiang Mai,
Yeah,
first
that's
Bangkok,
you are.
and then
Yeah.
and finding you going inside your coffee shop. Like I said, was who's this guy?
Yeah, luckily Kun Kao told me. Then when I saw you, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
So Sean, David, there was a question that you wanted to ask him. Do you want to come up to the mic and ask? You can come up here and ask, man.
He looks comfortable.
He probably doesn't want to move.
David's comfortable. I'm afraid the memory is gonna get full
phone?
again. No, it's like there's a lot of memory. Okay, cool.
Or sorry about that, I have it. But but my favorite part of your book, Sean, was definitely the spirituality portion. Thank you though. Definitely the spirituality portion of the book, because if I got anything out of the book aside from maybe how I can be a little more social and apply it in my own life, and that's even that I'm a mental health professional, or understanding myself a little bit more and who I am, or how to be successful in general, taking the world of Warcraft, which I also played, which was amazing, an amazing example. And we talked about spirituality already, but I don't think we can ever talk enough about it. What would you say is the most important or the secret weapon in reaching that spiritual divine component within yourself?
Okay.
What would you say that is?
The first thing that comes to my mind is being as pure as you can, in thought as well. I found that the person that has really complex thoughts and that's always questioning everything, although that's not a bad thing to question things, it's difficult for them to get in touch with that inner voice, soul, whatever, the divine. Then I started thinking that why do monks are vegetarian? Why do they abstain from sex? Why do they not have things? Why do they only eat one meal a day? And then it seems that I started seeing in a priest, right? Priests in the church, right? Some of them, they can't have sex either, right?
No, the priests can't have sex.
Yeah, they can't have sex. They can't. Can they own things? like material things?
They can own things. They don't get paid a lot though, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Okay.
they're not driving around in a Bentley.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
they shouldn't be.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
not, there's something up there.
What about what they eat? Are they on a diet, a certain diet?
They no, they just live like normal people.
Okay.
But within the means, because you know they're supposed to have the image that they're giving back to the community.
Gotcha. I was thinking, like, why do these monks, why do they have to do all these things? And it's because they are cutting themselves off from all of those things that could make them feel a little greedy. They can't have possessions because then you'd want more, or can't have sex because then you might get addicted to it and then just keep wanting it. You have to be as pure as you can. So for me, the key, you said the secret weapon, I think, is being pure, being as pure as you can. Pure as in not lying, in the thought, not lying, in pure with your intention with people, like trying, you getting to know me from meeting my friend and coming to the cafe, and then, but you could have done it in such a way that was really complex and not straight to the point, and the intent, and if the intention was bad or to trick me, I think that's harder to connect to the divine. But I think that if you're very pure with your intention with people, if you don't lie, I feel like it's easier to get in touch with it. I don't know why, but is there a psychological thing behind it? I listened to Jordan Peterson, and he actually said something similar. He said that don't like, if there's going to be one day when you have to ask yourself, like, what do I have to do? But if all you have in your head is full of lies, and you just lie, you just make up a bunch of shit all the time, the answer you get is going to be a misconstrued answer, like that, it's not coming from a good place. So he kind of talks similar, but he's using different terms than I am. And then he also he says, what is that voice? He's like, what is that thing that answers you? Because if you do ask yourself, what do I have to do now? What do I have to do to straighten my life? And he goes, you're going to get an answer. But then I remember he was talking to somebody, and he goes, like, what is that voice, So what, like, do you have any opinions on that?
Well, I love Jordan Peterson, to start off by that, but he's a spiritual psychologist, which is so unusual. And I love that he brings that component. Some people don't like it. And I don't know if my audience even likes me talking about the divine today. I typically don't talk about in these terms, but I felt like it was right, especially on this trip. It hasn't been a regular trip where someone goes on vacation and they're backpacking and woohoo, let's drink every night. Yeah. This wasn't, for the first time, this wasn't that type of trip where I'm looking forward to partying at night or something. This was a different trip, a different transformation. And with Jordan Peterson, he talks about that Christianity component of talking to the divine and how we all can talk to that divine.
Yeah.
I think people misconstrue what he says as if they're, because God has the word God itself already implies so many things. The moment I mention God, is it female or male in your mind?
I just see a light.
Okay.
But if, to be honest,
yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because they bring that authoritarian figure, but we can all touch that divine. So when I asked you that question, what was the secret weapon? To me, I didn't want to answer my own question, but the secret weapon is having a clear mind. And it's only when you have a clear mind, and you touched upon in this book, having an open mind, I think is what the title was called, is that we can actually get the answers, because praying is sending the message. And like your friend in the book that you talked about, how he always prays, and he'll pray for 3 hours, and he'll meditate when he wants to receive those answers. And just the fact that he's thinking about it in that form, the universe is catering for him. Not that the universe revolves around him, but the universe has an amazing way of working. And being and we all have that satellite connection. Now I can't pinpoint it to where it is on the brain or anything like that,
Yeah,
but I think it's so much more deeper than that.
yeah.
You
In the book, it's when you send in praying is sending an email to the divine, and meditating is receiving the email back. Yeah. So and there's a trick before you meditate.
Did you send me the question, David? Sorry about that, Sean.
Yeah. So when you meditate, yeah, that's before you meditate, you can set the intention and what you want to know. What do you want to come to a realization with? If you have a problem, you say, "Hey, how do I solve this problem? Please help me." If not, it's okay. And then you just focus on your breathing. And the crazy thing is, if you meditate long enough, the answer comes.
Yeah.
The answer comes on how to fix that problem or what you need to do next. And it comes when you're not expecting it, and you just focus on the breath. You don't expect anything to come. And then that's when you have a clear mind, like what you said. You have a clear mind, and it's so interesting that how an answer comes up. But it could be the divine, it could be your subconscious, it could be the higher self, whatever people want to call it. But you get an answer. I don't know where it's coming from, though.
And talking about that purity part, because that's the word you used, and how if you don't lie and you're honest and you understand when to say no, and you're just forthcoming about it, you have such an easier way to access this power that we're talking about, that you mentioned in your book, the divine power. We'll just use that word so we don't use God, because God tends to have that negative connotation to it. My brother, for example, I think I told you earlier today, he was diagnosed with autism at age 2.
Yeah.
I was, at the time when he was diagnosed, 13. That was a huge thing for our family, man, because at the time, I think 1 in every 200 kids was diagnosed with autism, and now it's 1 in every 69.
Whoa.
So it's gone, the awareness has gone up for a variety of factors. Asperger's now falls into the autism category. Of course, now since that happened, more kids are going to be diagnosed, retinas, and many others. But he has such a purity to him.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about a little bit, Sean, about how, and I touched about this with Kunkao in his interview, and he had asked me what my pain was that propelled me, and I told him it was not making the basketball team in high school, because it was something that was not the first time someone ever pointed a finger in my face and said no, but it was the first time someone pointed my finger in my face and told me I wasn't good enough for something I actually loved and cared about. And at the time, I never knew why that happened. I never understood it. I thought I outplayed, especially in that first time I tried out. I thought I outplayed everybody. There was only one day I played bad, and I guess that day took a lot of weight. But things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And what was your pain that propelled you to be who you are today, right here in front of this mic?
I think being bullied, probably the biggest one. Being bullied and being looked at my family as the problem kid, like with all the relatives, the cousins and everything. I was bullied like I told you earlier. And then I just, was the only, Asian kid in California. Not in California, but in that place I was at. I was at West Covina at the time, like 30 minutes from LA. And just not understand. It's very similar to Elliot Holst, because he just didn't look like anybody in his school. Me too. I didn't look like anybody at my school, so I was searching for meaning. I was like, what is, why am I here? Why am I an outcast? But the thing that really helped me, I read and I cried when I was young, was Martin Luther King's speech. It's like he said, I have a dream that one day these black children, white children, like every child can, hold hands, and all the religions. And I like that. I really like that. And I always hoped one day, oh wow, I want to change the world with speaking one day. So I think that was the seed, yeah? The seed where I didn't know that I would be able to do it. But I realized that I wanted to help people that didn't understand life. Because I just didn't have social skills. Because I go on the Asperger's spectrum. That's when you asked me about autism. And then, I mean, you said your brother. And I was like, is it Asperger's or autism, you know? Because I feel like I go on the Asperger side. And my wife's a psychologist. So she's like, yeah, you kind of do. Yeah, so I had to learn the social skills, you know, the social cues. Like actually practice them. Like this is a bored face. This is when someone's bored or when someone's angry, you know, or this is when someone's sad. You shouldn't laugh, things like that. So yeah, growing up, bullied also because I think I was a little strange, and I just wanted to help people going through what I went through. Yeah, didn't understand life. I wanted to help people understand life. I think this book does that.
Yeah.
It's like a guide to life.
This book does way more than that, Sean. You were never diagnosed with Asperger's, or you were?
Not clinically, but yeah, I get it a lot though.
And that would, to me, explain your purity, man, because those diagnosed under the autism spectrum, they tend to lack that mischief part, that part where I'm going to do this to manipulate this situation to do this. They tend to lack that because of their pure heart, such as my brother, who has motivated me by just being himself, because sometimes after a rough day, whether it be because of my clinical where I work out at the agency or just other things that happen, just seeing him and seeing how pure he is does something inside of me that makes me realize I can do this, especially when when I just ask him something as simple, hey, do you think I'm good enough to do this? And he just says, yeah, I'm good. You're good enough to do this. And he doesn't even know what I'm talking about, but I just felt so good to have that. And that would explain your purity in heart, but I don't want to attribute it to that, because you're your own person and you're yourself, and that if you were diagnosed or not, that doesn't mean that's who you are. It's just a way for people to understand certain things, or to try and understand what they can't understand. Yeah. Really. That's all a clinical diagnosis is. If I label someone with depression, because that's what it really is, then they're just meeting that criteria. And all of a sudden they believe that that's the way it's going to be forever. And that's so not true, man. Yeah. And I think a lot of your videos show that they give people hope. And we need more of that from people like you. Now, do you mind if I ask David's question?
Sure.
He's sitting over there, but I guess he's embarrassed to come up. When you said to God, use me, so I'm guessing when you're doing the praying to show you a sign, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Tell me what to say and I'll say it. When you said these things, weren't you afraid you might not like what God has in store for you? Good question, David.
Yeah. So the whole sentence that I said was that, and I also said, if you want me to be a garbage man, I could be a garbage man. So I was already kind of prepared that. Oh,
you did
but
say
please
that in your
don't
book.
let me suffer. Yeah.
You did say that in your book.
Yeah, but I just don't want to suffer. I'll do anything you want me to do. Just, I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. But I'll do anything you want me to do. So I was already prepared to just do whatever life wanted me to do. And I think that it opened me to just, it took a big weight off of my shoulder. And I guess it allowed me to try a bunch of things in life.
So all you wanted was, even like what David's question said, oh, what happened if you don't like what he has in store for you? You are going to like it, because the point is for you not to suffer, as the Dalai Lama writes in his book, a lot, or discomfort. Okay. Well, that goes and coincides with the destiny chapter in your book. And I remember this number because it's my favorite number, 47, chapter 47 of your book. You talk about destiny and how everybody's destiny is different, and how some of us gonna have a bigger responsibility than others. And that's okay, Because if your destiny is to be a great wife or a great spouse or husband, then that's going to be your destiny, or to have a family, and there's going to
Yeah.
be a purpose for it
Yeah.
that's going to be beyond your understanding.
Yeah. And you're gonna be
But
happy too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you're going to be happy, which you're going to avoid not suffering completely, because our stress levels are always fluctuating, but you're
Yeah.
going to avoid that intense suffering.
Yeah.
Or what about you said destiny can change. So I want to make that clear for the audience, the difference between fate and destiny. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. Fate is set in stone. It's set in stone. You can't change it.
Mm.
But destiny, you can.
Mm.
Destiny is you take a certain sequence of events, and that's going to be your destiny. Something's going to transpire. So
Mm.
you do believe that your destiny can change.
I do. I believe that there's certain I call them natural traps. It's gonna be in the spiritual book, but I don't feel like I'm strong spiritually enough to write a whole book about it. But this one I call them natural traps, and I believe they can change your destiny. Let's say there's these traps that you get into when you start becoming successful. There's this the first one I think is ego trap, right? The ego trap. There's a sex trap, and there's like a money trap. There's a few, but if I just go to the ego trap, let's say I know so many people. I look at these people that have a certain level of success, but they want more, and they're asking me, how can they fix it, or how can they take it to the next level? Or some people I'm just noticing. There's some people that he's a teacher, he teaches business, he made it, but he wants to go further, but he got so confident, like he to the point that it was like an ego that I made this much money, I helped people make this much money. And then the way, if you look at his videos, he used to be humble, and he used to be like, hey, I got this book, and I just want to share the knowledge with you. But now it's like, I'm the greatest and I can help anyone become a millionaire. And then he's stuck at this level.
There's so many people like that now.
So I see that as an ego trap. That's not gonna go. He wants to be in the history books, but having an ego, it won't. So that's an ego trap, right? Maybe he was in line to become one of the greats, but then there's a natural trap where it's like, I'm gonna test your ego real quick. If you can pass this ego, if you can lessen your ego, I'll let you get to the next level, or I'll let you, get even further in life, right? I feel that they have these natural traps, like testing people. That's why when people are like, I see people like Conor McGregor, or people that become really successful, I know they've been through these crazy traps, and then I applaud them. I have no hate for them at all. There's someone else I know that is he gets to a certain level, and this is not this. I've seen this with many people, that they start using their fame to sleep with women, and that's a trap. It's instead of focusing on reaching your highest destiny, you get these women coming in, taking your attention away from reaching your highest destiny. That's another natural trap for me. The money trap is when you just have so much resources that you start buying alcohol and drugs, or you just start going traveling and not focusing on your highest destiny. Now.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but traveling, you can grow. You learn from traveling. It could take you to your highest destiny. Well, I think in the bad way, where it's like you have so much money, so much time, that you're like, hey, let me try this drug, or let me try this alcohol, and then so I believe that you have this destiny, but there's kind of like, it can change along the way. There's things that take you off of the path.
So sometimes with your destiny, you're saying it can change, and there's going to be natural, to use your words, natural tests,
Natural
traps,
natural
traps.
tests.
Yeah,
but, okay, I
that
see
the
traps.
that the forces will throw at you to see if you're ready to go to the next stage
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the next level.
Exactly.
And one of the main ones is the ego trap, which it'll test you. And to clarify, the ego, I had read a bunch of books from a fabulous author. His name's Andrew Weil. I've messaged him a couple times. He's never gotten back to me. But it's very interesting because he talks about how the ego, all it is the front part of the brain, which is the logic part, takes over. And you start losing connection with the other forces around the world, like we talk about, like the trees. And so you're saying that sometimes the life will test you to see if you can drop that ego, if you can let it go and be who you really are, and then you'll be rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, have you ever had one of those ego tests, natural traps?
I think I had a good mentor. Because before I had any recognition, I was taught the higher you go, the more humble you must become. So I was really lucky to have a good foundation.
That's an ego breaker for sure, that quote.
Yeah, because if I just, you just have to keep, I don't know what that word is, but she told me, like, you bow lower, entirely bow. And then now it's like I have to bow lower.
You know, that's the opposite of what's taught in our culture. I'll give you an example. When I forgot who Obama went to see. It was some sort of high up official. I think it was in Saudi Arabia, and he went and he bowed or did their cultural, and he had so much backlash in the U.S. because it's like in the U.S. it's about how dare you do that, why would you bow to another leader? It's all about you're more powerful.
That's
you're
weird.
this. and I think Obama understood that whether people agreed with his policies or not, people lose sight. He was trying to show the world that exactly what you said. If someone bows, you bow lower. If with status comes a certain level of humbleness that you must have. And I've taken so much from this interview, Sean, and I think we're both tired now at this point. And I want to leave it on a good note too. But I will say this, and when I read the last page of your book today, I saved the last couple pages. I didn't tell you that for today, right before I came here. And you had a nice ending to it that you thanked everybody. You had a smiley face in the last paragraph. And you said that, I can't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of, I hope to see you in the next highest form of yourself. I believe something along those lines. And I came here with that mindset today, and I gave you the best I had on this interview. I didn't BS it. I didn't half-ass it like some of the other interviews I did, not because I didn't care, but because I was nervous. But you made this process very simple, bro, and easy for me. And I just want to thank you on that. And I hope that my followers out there, they don't know that much about me, and that's been my fault. I've kept myself somewhat hidden of who I really am. They don't even know my real name. But with that being said, I hope everybody checks out your content, whether it be on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. And 51 Weapons of the Wise is a great book that I recommend for everybody. Even me with a master's, I was able to learn a lot from this book and a lot of refreshers that I hadn't had a chance to talk about with anybody. So thanks for that, Sean.
Thank you, Juan. That was a beautiful ending. And
I appreciate
this
it.
was one of the best interviews I've ever had because you read the whole book, you did your homework, and I think that's a good quality. Keep doing interviews. And if you do your homework like this every time, the guests will tell other people about you. And then you'll probably get a lot more interviews too with like higher
Thanks,
profile.
man. I'm looking forward to keeping contact with you and safe journeys, okay?
All right, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. All right.
Anyone comes to Thailand, let's go meditate together. I'm in Chiang Mai. And find my cafe. It's called Tao Cafe, Tao Cafe. I took Juan to meditate today, only for 10 minutes. But if you come with me again, we're going to do that for at least 30 minutes to an hour. All right. See you guys.
Peace out.